wouldn't be enough. Steve Traxel gave up a game-tying base hit to Jose Guillen in the fifth, and then Jamie Walker, who allowed his first runs in 19 appearances, combined with the rest of the O's pen to allow 7 earned runs in less than 3 innings, as Baltimore dropped their 4th game in their last 6. Mariners righty Felix Hernandez allowed 4 runs over 8 innings against division rival Los Angeles in his last outing for a no decision. Hernandez has pitched in games versus Baltimore 3 times this season. All of them came, though, at home, so this is his first time in Baltimore. Orioles righty Jeremy Guthrie tossed 5 1/3 innings of 3-run ball in a no-decision loss against the Red Sox Thursday, snapping a 3-start win streak. He'll continue his push for the American League Rookie of the Year tonight as he attempts to repeat his last performance against the M's. It was back in mid-July when he allowed 2 runs in an 8-3 Birds win. Tuesday's win snapped a 6-game road losing streak for the Mariners, a step in the right direction at just the right time. 12 of Seattle's next 18 games are against sub-500 opponents. Baltimore has lost 2 straight home games after winning 8 in a row. The main reason can be placed on the O's bullpen, unfortunately. The Pig Pen allowed 13 runs in fewer than 7 innings in those last 2 home games. The Orioles placed star shortstop Miguel Tejada on waivers yesterday. The White Sox made a claim on Miggy, but the Orioles pulled him back. A clear attempt to gauge interest in Tejada in the post-deadline trade market. So it's the Mariners and the Orioles in the second of 3. Hernandez versus Guthrie. Your first pitch is at 7:05 p.m. in Baltimore. You can see it live on MLB.tv beginning at 7 Eastern. The Seattle Mariners look to continue their push toward a playoff spot as they face the Baltimore Orioles in the second game of a 3-game set at Camden Yards. Orioles ace in training Jeremy Guthrie faces off against fellow young star Felix Hernandez. First pitch is at 7:05 p.m. in Baltimore. Raul Ibanez's go-ahead 2-run homer was his second hit of the night last night. He'd finished with a game-high 4 RBIs as the Mariners beat the Orioles 10-3. Jeff Weaver won his 3rd game of 2007, pitching 6 innings of 3-run ball, as Seattle remained just 1 game out of the top spot for the AL wild card. Nick Markakis put the Orioles up 1 with his 3rd inning single, but it wouldn't be enough. Steve Traxel gave up a game-tying base hit to Jose Guillen in the 5th, and then Jamie Walker, who allowed his first runs in 19 appearances, combined with the rest of the O's pen to allow 7 earned runs in less than 3 innings, as Baltimore dropped their 4th game in their last 6. Mariners righty Felix Hernandez allowed 4 runs over 8 innings against division rival Los Angeles in his last outing for a no decision. Hernandez has pitched in games versus Baltimore 3 times this season. All of them came, though, at home, so this is his first time in Baltimore. Orioles righty Jeremy Guthrie tossed 5 1/3 innings of 3-run ball in a no-decision loss against the Red Sox Thursday, snapping a 3-start win streak. He'll continue his push for the American League Rookie of the Year tonight as he attempts to repeat his last performance against the M's. It was back in mid-July when he allowed 2 runs in an 8-3 Birds win. Tuesday's win snapped a 6-game road losing streak for the Mariners, a step in the right direction at just the right time. 12 of Seattle's next 18 games are against sub-500 opponents. Baltimore has lost 2 straight home games after winning 8 in a row. The main reason can be placed on the O's bullpen, unfortunately. The Pig Pen allowed 13 runs in fewer than 7 innings in those last 2 home games. The Orioles placed star shortstop Miguel Tejada on waivers yesterday. The White Sox made a claim on Miggy, but the Orioles pulled him back. A clear attempt to gauge interest in Tejada in the post-deadline trade market. So it's the Mariners and the Orioles in the second of 3. Hernandez versus Guthrie. Your first pitch is at 7:05 p.m. in Baltimore. You can see it live on MLB.tv beginning at 7 Eastern. The Seattle Mariners look to continue their push toward a playoff spot as they face the Baltimore Orioles in the second game of a 3-game set at Camden Yards. Orioles ace in training Jeremy Guthrie faces off against fellow young star Felix Hernandez. First pitch is at 7:05 p.m. in Baltimore. Raul Ibanez's go-ahead 2-run homer was his second hit of the night last night. He'd finished with a game-high 4 RBIs as the Mariners beat the Orioles 10-3. Jeff Weaver won his 3rd game of 2007, pitching 6 innings of 3-run ball, as Seattle remained just 1 game out of the top spot for the AL wild card. Nick Markakis put the Orioles up 1 with his 3rd inning single, but it wouldn't be enough. Steve Traxel gave up a game-tying base hit to Jose Guillen in the 5th, and then Jamie Walker, who allowed his first runs in 19 appearances, combined with the rest of the O's pen to allow 7 earned runs in less than 3 innings, as Baltimore dropped their 4th game in their last 6. Mariners righty Felix Hernandez allowed 4 runs over 8 innings against division rival Los Angeles in his last outing for a no decision. Hernandez has pitched in games versus Baltimore 3 times this season. All of them came, though, at home, so this is his first time in Baltimore. Orioles righty Jeremy Guthrie tossed 5 1/3 innings of 3-run ball in a no-decision loss against the Red Sox Thursday, snapping a 3-start win streak. He'll continue his push for the American League Rookie of the Year tonight as he attempts to repeat his last performance against the M's. It was back in mid-July when he allowed 2 runs in an 8-3 Birds win. Tuesday's win snapped a 6-game road losing streak for the Mariners, a step in the right direction at just the right time. 12 of Seattle's next 18 games are against sub-500 opponents. Baltimore has lost 2 straight home games after winning 8 in a row. The main reason can be placed on the O's bullpen, unfortunately. The Pig Pen allowed 13 runs in fewer than 7 innings in those last 2 home games. The Orioles placed star shortstop Miguel Tejada on waivers yesterday. The White Sox made a claim on Miggy, but the Orioles pulled him back. A clear attempt to gauge interest in Tejada in the post-deadline trade market. So it's the Mariners and the Orioles in the second of 3. Hernandez versus Guthrie. Your first pitch is at 7:05 p.m. in Baltimore. You can see it live on MLB.tv beginning at 7 Eastern. The Seattle Mariners look to continue their push toward a playoff spot as they face the Baltimore Orioles in the second game of a 3-game set at Camden Yards. Orioles ace in training Jeremy Guthrie faces off against fellow young star Felix Hernandez. First pitch is at 7:05 p.m. in Baltimore. Raul Ibanez's go-ahead 2-run homer was his second hit of the night last night. He'd finished with a game-high 4 RBIs as the Mariners beat the Orioles 10-3. Jeff Weaver won his 3rd game of 2007, pitching 6 innings of 3-run ball, as Seattle remained just 1 game out of the top spot for the AL wildcard. Nick Markakis put the Orioles up 1 with his 3rd inning single, but it wouldn't be enough. Steve Traxel gave up a game-tying base hit to Jose Guillen in the 5th, and then Jamie Walker, who allowed his first runs in 19 appearances, combined with the rest of the O's pen to allow 7 earned runs in less than 3 innings, as Baltimore dropped their 4th game in their last 6. Mariners righty Felix Hernandez allowed 4 runs over 8 innings against division rival Los Angeles in his last outing for a no decision. Hernandez has pitched in games versus Baltimore 3 times this season. All of them came, though, at home, so this is his first time in Baltimore. Orioles righty Jeremy Guthrie tossed 5 1/3 innings of 3-run ball in a no-decision loss against the Red Sox Thursday, snapping a 3-start win streak. He'll continue his push for the American League Rookie of the Year tonight as he attempts to repeat his last performance against the M's. It was back in mid-July when he allowed 2 runs in an 8-3 Birds win. Tuesday's win snapped a 6-game road losing streak for the Mariners, a step in the right direction at just the right time. 12 of Seattle's next 18 games are against sub-500 opponents. Baltimore has lost 2 straight home games after winning 8 in a row. The main reason can be placed on the O's bullpen, unfortunately. The Pig Pen allowed 13 runs in fewer than 7 innings in those last 2 home games. The Orioles placed star shortstop Miguel Tejada on waivers yesterday. The White Sox made a claim on Miggy, but the Orioles pulled him back. A clear attempt to gauge interest in Tejada in the post-deadline trade market. So it's the Mariners and the Orioles in the second of 3. Hernandez versus Guthrie. Your first pitch is at 7:05 p.m. in Baltimore. You can see it live on MLB.tv beginning at 7 Eastern. The Seattle Mariners look to continue their push toward a playoff spot as they face the Baltimore Orioles in the second game of a 3-game set at Camden Yards. Orioles ace in training Jeremy Guthrie faces off against fellow young star Felix Hernandez. First pitch is at 7:05 p.m. in Baltimore. Raul Ibanez's go-ahead 2-run homer was his second hit of the night last night. He'd finished with a game-high 4 RBIs as the Mariners beat the Orioles 10-3. Jeff Weaver won his 3rd game of 2007, pitching 6 innings of 3-run ball, as Seattle remained just 1 game out of the top spot for the AL wildcard. Nick Markakis put the Orioles up 1 with his 3rd inning single, but it wouldn't be enough. Steve Traxel gave up a game-tying base hit to Jose Guillen in the 5th, and then Jamie Walker, who allowed his first runs in 19 appearances, combined with the rest of the O's pen to allow 7 earned runs in less than 3 innings, as Baltimore dropped their 4th game in their last 6. Mariners righty Felix Hernandez allowed 4 runs over 8 innings against division rival Los Angeles in his last outing for a no decision. Hernandez has pitched in games versus Baltimore 3 times this season. All of them came, though, at home, so this is his first time in Baltimore. Orioles righty Jeremy Guthrie tossed 5 1/3 innings of 3-run ball in a no-decision loss against the Red Sox Thursday, snapping a 3-start win streak. He'll continue his push for the American League Rookie of the Year tonight as he attempts to repeat his last performance against the M's. It was back in mid-July when he allowed 2 runs in an 8-3 Birds win. Tuesday's win snapped a 6-game road losing streak for the Mariners, a step in the right direction at just the right time. 12 of Seattle's next 18 games are against sub-500 opponents. Baltimore has lost 2 straight home games after winning 8 in a row. The main reason can be placed on the O's bullpen, unfortunately. The Pig Pen allowed 13 runs in fewer than 7 innings in those last 2 home games. The Orioles placed star shortstop Miguel Tejada on waivers yesterday. The White Sox made a claim on Miggy, but the Orioles pulled them back. A clear attempt to gauge interest in Tejada in the post-deadline trade market. So it's the Mariners and the Orioles in the second of 3. Hernandez versus Guthrie. Your first pitch is at 7:05 p.m. in Baltimore. You can see it live on MLB.tv beginning at 7 Eastern. The Seattle Mariners look to continue their push toward a playoff spot as they face the Baltimore Orioles in the second game of a 3-game set at Camden Yards. Orioles ace in training Jeremy Guthrie faces off against fellow young star Felix Hernandez. First pitch is at 7:05 p.m. in Baltimore. Raul Ibanez's go-ahead 2-run homer was his second hit of the night last night. He'd finish with a game-high 4 RBIs as the Mariners beat the Orioles 10-3. Jeff Weaver won his 3rd game of 2007, pitching 6 innings of 3-run ball, as Seattle remained just 1 game out of the top spot for the AL wildcard. Nick Markakis put the Orioles up 1 with his 3rd inning single, but it wouldn't be enough. Steve Traxel gave up a game-tying base hit to Jose Guillen in the 5th, and then Jamie Walker, who allowed his first runs in 19 appearances, combined with the rest of the O's pen to allow 7 earned runs in less than 3 innings, as Baltimore dropped their 4th game in their last 6. Mariners righty Felix Hernandez allowed 4 runs over 8 innings against division rival Los Angeles in his last outing for a no decision. Hernandez has pitched in games versus Baltimore 3 times this season. All of them came, though, at home, so this is his first time in Baltimore. Orioles righty Jeremy Guthrie tossed 5 1/3 innings of 3-run ball in a no-decision loss against the Red Sox Thursday, snapping a 3-start win streak. He'll continue his push for the American League Rookie of the Year tonight as he attempts to repeat his last performance against the M's. It was back in mid-July when he allowed 2 runs in an 8-3 Birds win. Tuesday's win snapped a 6-game road losing streak for the Mariners, a step in the right direction at just the right time. 12 of Seattle's next 18 games are against sub-500 opponents. Baltimore has lost 2 straight home games after winning 8 in a row. The main reason can be placed on the O's bullpen, unfortunately. The Pig Pen allowed 13 runs in fewer than 7 innings in those last 2 home games. The Orioles placed star shortstop Miguel Tejada on waivers yesterday. The White Sox made a claim on Miggy, but the Orioles pulled them back. A clear attempt to gauge interest in Tejada in the post-deadline trade market. So it's the Mariners and the Orioles in the second of 3. Hernandez versus Guthrie. Your first pitch is at 7:05 p.m. in Baltimore. You can see it live on MLB.tv beginning at 7 Eastern. The Seattle Mariners look to continue their push toward a playoff spot as they face the Baltimore Orioles in the second game of a 3-game set at Camden Yards. Orioles ace in training Jeremy Guthrie faces off against fellow young star Felix Hernandez. First pitch is at 7:05 p.m. in Baltimore. Raul Ibanez's go-ahead 2-run homer was his second hit of the night last night. He'd finish with a game-high 4 RBIs as the Mariners beat the Orioles 10-3. Jeff Weaver won his 3rd game of 2007, pitching 6 innings of 3-run ball, as Seattle remained just 1 game out of the top spot for the AL wildcard. Nick Markakis put the Orioles up 1 with his 3rd inning single, but it wouldn't be enough. Steve Traxel gave up a game-tying base hit to Jose Guillen in the 5th, and then Jamie Walker, who allowed his first runs in 19 appearances, combined with the rest of the O's pen to allow 7 earned runs in less than 3 innings, as Baltimore dropped their 4th game in their last 6. Mariners righty Felix Hernandez allowed 4 runs over 8 innings against division rival Los Angeles in his last outing for a no decision. Hernandez has pitched in games versus Baltimore 3 times this season. All of them came, though, at home, so this is his first time in Baltimore. Orioles righty Jeremy Guthrie tossed 5 1/3 innings of 3-run ball in a no-decision loss against the Red Sox Thursday, snapping a 3-start win streak. He'll continue his push for the American League Rookie of the Year tonight as he attempts to repeat his last performance against the M's. It was back in mid-July when he allowed 2 runs in an 8-3 Birds win. Tuesday's win snapped a 6-game road losing streak for the Mariners, a step in the right direction at just the right time. 12 of Seattle's next 18 games are against sub-500 opponents. Baltimore has lost 2 straight home games after winning 8 in a row. The main reason can be placed on the O's bullpen, unfortunately. The Pig Pen allowed 13 runs in fewer than 7 innings in those last 2 home games. The Orioles placed star shortstop Miguel Tejada on waivers yesterday. The White Sox made a claim on Miggy, but the Orioles pulled them back. A clear attempt to gauge interest in Tejada in the post-deadline trade market. So it's the Mariners and the Orioles in the second of 3. Hernandez versus Guthrie. Your first pitch is at 7:05 p.m. in Baltimore. You can see it live on MLB.tv beginning at 7 Eastern. The Seattle Mariners look to continue their push toward a playoff spot as they face the Baltimore Orioles in the second game of a 3-game set at Camden Yards. Orioles ace in training Jeremy Guthrie faces off against fellow young star Felix Hernandez. First pitch is at 7:05 p.m. in Baltimore. Raul Ibanez's go-ahead 2-run homer was his second hit of the night last night. He'd finished with a game-high 4 RBIs as the Mariners beat the Orioles 10-3. Jeff Weaver won his 3rd game of 2007, pitching 6 innings of 3-run ball, as Seattle remained just 1 game out of the top spot for the AL wild card. Nick Markakis put the Orioles up 1 with his 3rd inning single, but it wouldn't be enough. Steve Traxel gave up a game-tying base hit to Jose Guillen in the 5th, and then Jamie Walker, who allowed his first runs in 19 appearances, combined with the rest of the O's pen to allow 7 earned runs in less than 3 innings, as Baltimore dropped their 4th game in their last 6. Mariners righty Felix Hernandez allowed 4 runs over 8 innings against division rival Los Angeles in his last outing for a no decision. Hernandez has pitched in games versus Baltimore 3 times this season. All of them came, though, at home, so this is his first time in Baltimore. Orioles righty Jeremy Guthrie tossed 5 1/3 innings of 3-run ball in a no-decision loss against the Red Sox Thursday, snapping a 3-start win streak. He'll continue his push for the American League Rookie of the Year tonight as he attempts to repeat his last performance against the M's. It was back in mid-July when he allowed 2 runs in an 8-3 Birds win. Tuesday's win snapped a 6-game road losing streak for the Mariners, a step in the right direction at just the right time. 12 of Seattle's next 18 games are against sub-500 opponents. Baltimore has lost 2 straight home games after winning 8 in a row. The main reason can be placed on the O's bullpen, unfortunately. The Pig Pen allowed 13 runs in fewer than 7 innings in those last 2 home games. The Orioles placed star shortstop Miguel Tejada on waivers yesterday. The White Sox made a claim on Miggy, but the Orioles pulled them back. A clear attempt to gauge interest in Tejada in the post-deadline trade market. So it's the Mariners and the Orioles in the second of 3. Hernandez versus Guthrie. Your first pitch is at 7:05 p.m. in Baltimore. You can see it live on MLB.tv beginning at 7 Eastern. The Seattle Mariners look to continue their push toward a playoff spot as they face the Baltimore Orioles in the second game of a 3-game set at Camden Yards. Orioles ace in training Jeremy Guthrie faces off against fellow young star Felix Hernandez. First pitch is at 7:05 p.m. in Baltimore. Raul Ibanez's go-ahead 2-run homer was his second hit of the night last night. He'd finished with a game-high 4 RBIs as the Mariners beat the Orioles 10-3. Jeff Weaver won his 3rd game of 2007, pitching 6 innings of 3-run ball, as Seattle remained just 1 game out of the top spot for the AL wild card. Nick Markakis put the Orioles up 1 with his 3rd inning single, but it wouldn't be enough. Steve Traxel gave up a game-tying base hit to Jose Guillen in the 5th, and then Jamie Walker, who allowed his first runs in 19 appearances, combined with the rest of the O's pen to allow 7 earned runs in less than 3 innings, as Baltimore dropped their 4th game in their last 6. Mariners righty Felix Hernandez allowed 4 runs over 8 innings against division rival Los Angeles in his last outing for a no decision. Hernandez has pitched in games versus Baltimore 3 times this season. All of them came, though, at home, so this is his first time in Baltimore. Orioles righty Jeremy Guthrie tossed 5 1/3 innings of 3-run ball in a no-decision loss against the Red Sox Thursday, snapping a 3-start win streak. He'll continue his push for the American League Rookie of the Year tonight as he attempts to repeat his last performance against the M's. It was back in mid-July when he allowed 2 runs in an 8-3 Birds win. Tuesday's win snapped a 6-game road losing streak for the Mariners, a step in the right direction at just the right time. 12 of Seattle's next 18 games are against sub-500 opponents. Baltimore has lost 2 straight home games after winning 8 in a row. The main reason can be placed on the O's bullpen, unfortunately. The Pig Pen allowed 13 runs in fewer than 7 innings in those last 2 home games. The Orioles placed star shortstop Miguel Tejada on waivers yesterday. The White Sox made a claim on Miggy, but the Orioles pulled them back. A clear attempt to gauge interest in Tejada in the post-deadline trade market. So it's the Mariners and the Orioles in the second of 3. Hernandez versus Guthrie. Your first pitch is at 7:05 p.m. in Baltimore. You can see it live on MLB.tv beginning at 7 Eastern. The Seattle Mariners look to continue their push toward a playoff spot as they face the Baltimore Orioles in the second game of a 3-game set at Camden Yards. Orioles ace in training Jeremy Guthrie faces off against fellow young star Felix Hernandez. First pitch is at 7:05 p.m. in Baltimore. Raul Ibanez's go-ahead 2-run homer was his second hit of the night last night. He'd finished with a game-high 4 RBIs as the Mariners beat the Orioles 10-3. Jeff Weaver won his 3rd game of 2007, pitching 6 innings of 3-run ball, as Seattle remained just 1 game out of the top spot for the AL wild card. Nick Markakis put the Orioles up 1 with his 3rd inning single, but it wouldn't be enough. Steve Traxel gave up a game-tying base hit to Jose Guillen in the 5th, and then Jamie Walker, who allowed his first runs in 19 appearances, combined with the rest of the O's pen to allow 7 earned runs in less than 3 innings, as Baltimore dropped their 4th game in their last 6. Mariners righty Felix Hernandez allowed 4 runs over 8 innings against division rival Los Angeles in his last outing for a no decision. Hernandez has pitched in games versus Baltimore 3 times this season. All of them came, though, at home, so this is his first time in Baltimore. Orioles righty Jeremy Guthrie tossed 5 1/3 innings of 3-run ball in a no-decision loss against the Red Sox Thursday, snapping a 3-start win streak. He'll continue his push for the American League Rookie of the Year tonight as he attempts to repeat his last performance against the M's. It was back in mid-July when he allowed 2 runs in an 8-3 Birds win. Tuesday's win snapped a 6-game road losing streak for the Mariners, a step in the right direction at just the right time. 12 of Seattle's next 18 games are against sub-500 opponents. Baltimore has lost 2 straight home games after winning 8 in a row. The main reason can be placed on the O's bullpen, unfortunately. The Pig Pen allowed 13 runs in fewer than 7 innings in those last 2 home games. The Orioles placed star shortstop Miguel Tejada on waivers yesterday. The White Sox made a claim on Miggy, but the Orioles pulled them back. A clear attempt to gauge interest in Tejada in the post-deadline trade market. So it's the Mariners and the Orioles in the second of 3. Hernandez versus Guthrie. Your first pitch is at 7:05 p.m. in Baltimore. You can see it live on MLB.tv beginning at 7 Eastern. The Seattle Mariners look to continue their push toward a playoff spot as they face the Baltimore Orioles in the second game of a 3-game set at Camden Yards. Orioles ace in training Jeremy Guthrie faces off against fellow young star Felix Hernandez. First pitch is at 7:05 p.m. in Baltimore. Raul Ibanez's go-ahead 2-run homer was his second hit of the night last night. He'd finished with a game-high 4 RBIs as the Mariners beat the Orioles 10-3. Jeff Weaver won his 3rd game of 2007, pitching 6 innings of 3-run ball, as Seattle remained just 1 game out of the top spot for the AL wild card. Nick Markakis put the Orioles up 1 with his 3rd inning single, but it wouldn't be enough. Steve Traxel gave up a game-tying base hit to Jose Guillen in the 5th, and then Jamie Walker, who allowed his first runs in 19 appearances, combined with the rest of the O's pen to allow 7 earned runs in less than 3 innings, as Baltimore dropped their 4th game in their last 6. Mariners righty Felix Hernandez allowed 4 runs over 8 innings against division rival Los Angeles in his last outing for a no decision. Hernandez has pitched in games versus Baltimore 3 times this season. All of them came, though, at home, so this is his first time in Baltimore. Orioles righty Jeremy Guthrie tossed 5 1/3 innings of 3-run ball in a no-decision loss against the Red Sox Thursday, snapping a 3-start win streak. He'll continue his push for the American League Rookie of the Year tonight as he attempts to repeat his last performance against the M's. It was back in mid-July when he allowed 2 runs in an 8-3 Birds win. Tuesday's win snapped a 6-game road losing streak for the Mariners, a step in the right direction at just the right time. 12 of Seattle's next 18 games are against sub-500 opponents. Baltimore has lost 2 straight home games after winning 8 in a row. The main reason can be placed on the O's bullpen, unfortunately. The Pig Pen allowed 13 runs in fewer than 7 innings in those last 2 home games. The Orioles placed star shortstop Miguel Tejada on waivers yesterday. The White Sox made a claim on Miggy, but the Orioles pulled them back. A clear attempt to gauge interest in Tejada in the post-deadline trade market. So it's the Mariners and the Orioles in the second of 3. Hernandez versus Guthrie. Your first pitch is at 7:05 p.m. in Baltimore. You can see it live on MLB.tv beginning at 7 Eastern. The Seattle Mariners look to continue their push toward a playoff spot as they face the Baltimore Orioles in the second game of a 3-game set at Camden Yards. Orioles ace in training Jeremy Guthrie faces off against fellow young star Felix Hernandez. First pitch is at 7:05 p.m. in Baltimore. Raul Ibanez's go-ahead 2-run homer was his second hit of the night last night. He'd finished with a game-high 4 RBIs as the Mariners beat the Orioles 10-3. Jeff Weaver won his 3rd game of 2007, pitching 6 innings of 3-run ball, as Seattle remained just 1 game out of the top spot for the AL wild card. Nick Markakis put the Orioles up 1 with his 3rd inning single, but it wouldn't be enough. Steve Traxel gave up a game-tying base hit to Jose Guillen in the 5th, and then Jamie Walker, who allowed his first runs in 19 appearances, combined with the rest of the O's pen to allow 7 earned runs in less than 3 innings, as Baltimore dropped their 4th game in their last 6. Mariners righty Felix Hernandez allowed 4 runs over 8 innings against division rival Los Angeles in his last outing for a no decision. Hernandez has pitched in games versus Baltimore 3 times this season. All of them came, though, at home, so this is his first time in Baltimore. Orioles righty Jeremy Guthrie tossed 5 1/3 innings of 3-run ball in a no-decision loss against the Red Sox Thursday, snapping a 3-start win streak. He'll continue his push for the American League Rookie of the Year tonight as he attempts to repeat his last performance against the M's. It was back in mid-July when he allowed 2 runs in an 8-3 Birds win. Tuesday's win snapped a 6-game road losing streak for the Mariners, a step in the right direction at just the right time. 12 of Seattle's next 18 games are against sub-500 opponents. Baltimore has lost 2 straight home games after winning 8 in a row. The main reason can be placed on the O's bullpen, unfortunately. The Pig Pen allowed 13 runs in fewer than 7 innings in those last 2 home games. The Orioles placed star shortstop Miguel Tejada on waivers yesterday. The White Sox made a claim on Miggy, but the Orioles pulled them back. A clear attempt to gauge interest in Tejada in the post-deadline trade market. So it's the Mariners and the Orioles in the second of 3. Hernandez versus Guthrie. Your first pitch is at 7:05 p.m. in Baltimore. You can see it live on MLB.tv beginning at 7 Eastern. The Seattle Mariners look to continue their push toward a playoff spot as they face the Baltimore Orioles in the second game of a 3-game set at Camden Yards. Orioles ace in training Jeremy Guthrie faces off against fellow young star Felix Hernandez. First pitch is at 7:05 p.m. in Baltimore. Raul Ibanez's go-ahead 2-run homer was his second hit of the night last night. He'd finished with a game-high 4 RBIs as the Mariners beat the Orioles 10-3. Jeff Weaver won his 3rd game of 2007, pitching 6 innings of 3-run ball, as Seattle remained just 1 game out of the top spot for the AL wild card. Nick Markakis put the Orioles up 1 with his 3rd inning single, but it wouldn't be enough. Steve Traxel gave up a game-tying base hit to Jose Guillen in the 5th, and then Jamie Walker, who allowed his first runs in 19 appearances, combined with the rest of the O's pen to allow 7 earned runs in less than 3 innings, as Baltimore dropped their 4th game in their last 6. Mariners righty Felix Hernandez allowed 4 runs over 8 innings against division rival Los Angeles in his last outing for a no decision. Hernandez has pitched in games versus Baltimore 3 times this season. All of them came, though, at home, so this is his first time in Baltimore. Orioles righty Jeremy Guthrie tossed 5 1/3 innings of 3-run ball in a no-decision loss against the Red Sox Thursday, snapping a 3-start win streak. He'll continue his push for the American League Rookie of the Year tonight as he attempts to repeat his last performance against the M's. It was back in mid-July when he allowed 2 runs in an 8-3 Birds win. Tuesday's win snapped a 6-game road losing streak for the Mariners, a step in the right direction at just the right time. 12 of Seattle's next 18 games are against sub-500 opponents. Baltimore has lost 2 straight home games after winning 8 in a row. The main reason can be placed on the O's bullpen, unfortunately. The Pig Pen allowed 13 runs in fewer than 7 innings in those last 2 home games. The Orioles placed star shortstop Miguel Tejada on waivers yesterday. The White Sox made a claim on Miggy, but the Orioles pulled him back. A clear attempt to gauge interest in Tejada in the post-deadline trade market. So it's the Mariners and the Orioles in the second of 3. Hernandez versus Guthrie. Your first pitch is at 7:05 p.m. in Baltimore. You can see it live on MLB.tv beginning at 7 Eastern. The Seattle Mariners look to continue their push toward a playoff spot as they face the Baltimore Orioles in the second game of a 3-game set at Camden Yards. Orioles ace in training Jeremy Guthrie faces off against fellow young star Felix Hernandez. First pitch is at 7:05 p.m. in Baltimore. Raul Ibanez's go-ahead 2-run homer was his second hit of the night last night. He'd finished with a game-high 4 RBIs as the Mariners beat the Orioles 10-3. Jeff?
Access Sports Network.
Last night at Oriole Park, the game was just out of reach, and the Mariners took the opener of the 3-game series. But tonight, the Orioles hand the baseball to Jeremy Guthrie, one of the surprise pitchers in the American League. It's the Orioles and Mariners up next on MASN. It's another hot and humid night in Baltimore as the Orioles get set to take on the Seattle Mariners, trying to bounce back from last night's loss. Tonight it's the middle game of the 3-game series. And hi again, everyone. Jim Hunter with Jim Palmer. Glad you could tune us in as the Birds try to get the pitching and the hitting on the same page from last night. Last night they had the hitting. However, Jim, missed opportunities, and then the bullpen had to get away.
Well, you're right. And, Jeff Weaver was 2-10 pitching for the Mariners when he came in. So a lot of opportunities. He battled as Steve did Steve Traxel. So you can see, again, if you don't score a lot of runs, you do put a lot of pressure on your bullpen. They had leads in Boston both on Wednesday and Thursday. A couple of 4-run innings in the 7th inning. Last night in the 7th inning, they had a 3-2 lead. The bullpen came in. And, one pitch really kind of changes it. Of course, Tejada started the inning by catching a ball, couldn't come up, made a bad throw. It wasn't an error, but it was a base hit. Make that play, maybe think a little bit different. But one hanging slider from Jamie Walker. He had 19 straight scoreless innings or appearances. All of a sudden, the one hanging slider changed the complexion of the game. You wouldn't have changed anything. You just would have changed the way these guys pitch because they just didn't make the quality pitches they'd like to last night.
Every team, when they play Seattle, they have the same game plan. Try to keep Ichiro Suzuki off base. But one thing you notice when you watch this guy, he is a very special talent, and he is having a Hall of Fame career right before your eyes.
Well, John McLaren took over on July 1st for Mike Hargrove, and he said he really set the pace. He was 3 for 5 last night. He scored 2 runs. Now, this is his 7th year in the American League. 11 pitches off Steve Traxel, singled. Stole a base, did not score a run, but would eventually score 2 more in the game. Every year he has hit over 300. He's had over 200 hits, 3 of them last night. He's on his pace again to hit well over 200. To give you an idea of how difficult it is, look in the history of the Orioles. Tejada broke the all-time record by Cal Ripken with 214 last year when he hit 330, so it's not easy to do. Ichiro, I think when you start thinking about, here's a guy, this will be his 7th year. He's just assigned a 5-year extension. We're talking about probably the first Japanese player ever to be considered for the Hall of Fame in this country because he's that special a player.
And that puts it in perspective. He's had 6 consecutive 200-hit seasons. The Orioles have had 6 in franchise history, so he is without a doubt a special player. So tonight, the package goes to Jeremy Guthrie, and Jeremy Guthrie has the task of trying to hold down Ichiro.
And, of course, his problem was coming off that Red Sox game where he gave up back-to-back home runs against Hinske and Doug Maravelli. Very rarely has he not been able to command his fastball. Very hot day. Not as hot as it is tonight. But, again, when he's pitching well, fastball down and away, gets the breaking ball over when he needs to. And, of course, if you go back to the last time he pitched against the Mariners, had trouble with Vidro, double and a couple of singles, hung a curveball. Jojima hit it for a solo home run. Other than that, he pitched very well against the M's.
And it's a rematch of the game on July 17th as Guthrie takes on Felix Hernandez. Well, once upon a time, Ken Griffey Jr. hit the warehouse. Orioles and Mariners are coming up next. Orioles Baseball on Masson is brought to you in part by Southwest Airlines. With more flights to more places than ever before, Southwest is taking low fares farther. Visit southwest.com. Oh, does that look nice? Let's hop in the pool downtown, wherever you can get relief from what was a record-setting day. And good to have the plebes here from the Naval Academy here tonight, as the Naval Academy Drum and Bugle Corps perform the national anthem here at Oriole Park. Always good to have the middies here at the ballpark. They always had a lot of excitement to the game, and good to see them here tonight. Let's get a look at the Southwest Airlines starting lineup for tonight. Middle game of 3 against Seattle. It'll be Ichiro Suzuki leading off, Jose Vidro, then Jose Guillen, Adrian Beltre at cleanup spot, Raul Ibanez, a one-man wrecking crew last night, couple of home runs and 4 RBIs. Richie Sexton at first, Kenji Jojima catches, Jose Lopez at second base, and Yunieski Betancourt will bat ninth to play shortstop.
Take a look at our Rico scouting report. Jeremy Guthrie, the 20-year-old right-hander, trying to win 4 in a row. He's never done that in his career. Best bargain, a baseman fine that you can see, $20,000 on waivers. And then this will be, as you mentioned, Jim, a rematch with the Mariners. He was able to beat them, trailing 2-0, give him to the 3-run home run. So there it is. And, of course, what he was able to do, what the Orioles couldn't do last night with Ichiro, is Ichiro 0 for 3 back on the 17th of July up in Seattle last night. Ichiro started out the game 3 for 3. So a little different pitcher, a little more power. He's got 3 other pitches, slider, changeup, and curveball. But primarily when he pitches well, he commands 91 to 97 and is able to keep it out of the middle of the plate.
Dave Tremblay was asked about Jeremy Guthrie before the game, what he liked about him, what he notices about him, and he mentioned poise. He's competitive, and he commands the fastball. And I think the commanding of the fastball part of that is the most important.
Oh, you're right, and he didn't do that in Boston. And right there, first pitch for a ball. And I think the other thing you can throw in there on a day where game time it's 101, The trainers, Jay Shiner, the strength and conditioning coach, will tell you he's probably as well conditioned as anybody on this team, if not better.
Well, Jeremy Guthrie tonight making his 19th start. It's his 25th game appearance on the year. And he has the 3rd best ERA in the American League. It is very difficult in this hitting happy league, in particular the AL East, to have an ERA below 3, and he's at 2.98 coming into tonight's game.
And as a starter, it's 2.56. He had a couple of bad relief appearances in Cleveland for the Orioles.
Ooh. And Suzuki with a base hit up the middle, so he loves hitting against the Orioles. We mentioned last night he came in 0 for his last 10, and that's his 4th hit in the series.
Well, you get an idea of how close you are when you release the ball. Watch this ball. So, Jeremy's going to end up probably about, 55 feet away? Boom. And he, look at that, threw his hand up and his shoulder. So, again, 2-1, fastball count, looking fastball right down the middle, and he takes advantage of it.
Fastball for a strike to Jose Vidro, DHing. Vidro's hit 9 consecutive games. Now, this will be a test now for Guthrie because he is one of the best in the league at holding base runners, and Suzuki at first, one of the best at stealing bases. Taken outside, 1-1. Let's go fact on Ichiro Suzuki. 380 career average against the Orioles, the best all time, and he adds to it here tonight with a base hit.
Yeah, he came into the season lifetime against the rest of the league and the Orioles, 331.
Left center field, Jay Payton on the run. Still going back, and that ball is gone. It got out of here into the first row. How about that on this warm night? Jose Vidro hitting it out the opposite way. And just like that, Seattle gets a 2-0 lead.
Well, I was going to talk about the fact he's an ideal second-place hitter. As you look at our Coors Light Cold Hard Blast, it's just going to be a breaking ball. It's not it's not a hanger. Watch where it ends up, though, in the middle of the plate. So you don't speed up the bat. This is only his 4th home run. He's a line drive hitter. He told you a couple of singles off of Jeremy Guthrie up in Mariner country, up in Seattle. So again, the ball just kept going, and single home run, and they're ahead 2-0.
So Vidro hits his 4th. That is the 15th home run allowed by Guthrie on the year, and a quick lead for the Mariners. This ball's hit the left center field and well. Payton and Patterson. Patterson calls, and he makes the catch. So that one more off the end of the bat and one away. It's going to look at the Centric Business Systems defense behind Guthrie.
Well, you've seen the outfield. They were chasing that home run. Peyton, Patterson, and Markakis around the outfield, and Mora, Tejada, Robertson, Millar, and Hernandez, a couple of RBIs last night. They'll be behind the plate. So if you're Jeremy Guthrie, well, fastball up to the middle to Ichiro, line drive up the middle. It doesn't bother you. That's what he does to everybody.
Yes,
and I think maybe you're a little bit surprised. Vidro just put a great swing on a breaking ball. That wasn't a great breaking ball, but it wasn't hanging. So you just, keep it right there. You hope that Hernandez has a bad night. And that's all you can do, because you come out of the bullpen as a starting pitcher. And, Guthrie's, as you said, Dave Tremblay, the Oriole manager, talking about him, very highly competitive guy. You're thinking shutout until they get a run. Now, as it turned out, they get 2. So now you're thinking, okay, I'm going to give up 2 runs. And I'll do that for the next 5 or 6 innings. There's a hanging breaking ball and just missed being a double. So you just try to keep him there and then hope that you can get some offense. The one thing they haven't done for him, game in and game out, and you can see how consistent he's been, just scoring a lot of runs. The Orioles are 12th in the American League in runs scored, and Eric Bedard got 11 the other day, and he said it was like going on a 3-week vacation.
Fouled off the shin guard of the home plate umpire, Tony Randazzo.
I think, the one thing I noticed, Jim, is that if you look at his numbers, very rarely walks anybody, but 4 walks in Boston because he had trouble commanding, and then in the 5 previous starts, league, or at least year high of 3 walks in each game. So probably pitching more innings than he has at this level with this kind of stress, and maybe trying to be a little perfect, trying to get a little bit more, maybe more tired than he's normally been. And you don't get a lot of runs, you feel like you have to be perfect every once in a while.
And he got him on a good breaking ball down and away. Beltre down on strikes and 2 away.
When your team doesn't score a lot of runs, you feel like every pitch is going to be the game. And right here, we saw the bad breaking ball, and this is just one that it stays up, but it's right on the outside corner. So you could see it. Maybe not really. You don't want to be throwing belt-high sliders, but got it away enough. So there you go. Not a lot of hits, not a lot of walks, and what a strikeout at 2 out of every 3 innings.
Here's Raul Ibanez, who got hot last night. He's hit 2 in a row now, 4 for his last 9. Last night, 2 home runs. Fouled straight down at the plate.
You know, and it started very similar. Barry Bonds breaks Hank Aaron's record last night, and he tied Aaron's record on the weekend by hitting a home run to the opposite field. And that's what Ibanez did last night. 116 at-bats, 31 games. And he just took a 2-0 fastball, didn't try to pull it, hit it to left center field. Maybe a little bit to the shorter part of left field than Vidro just did. And he got the Mariners on the board with a 1-0 lead. And then later on got a hanging slider, reacted to it, pulled it for a 2-run home run.
Ball 3 inside. Well, Seattle, like the Orioles, not a home run hitting team. Part of that is that ballpark they play in. When you play at Safeco Field for 81 games out of the year, that cuts down on some of the possible home runs. There's a bouncer towards short. Tejada to his left plays the hop. And he gets Ibanez to end the inning. So Guthrie keeps it as is. 2-run home run by Vidro. Here come the Birds in the bottom of the first. Vidro has put Seattle on top. Here come the Birds in the bottom of the first. Southwest Airlines starting lineup for Dave Tremblay. Brian Roberts, as always, up top with Corey Patterson, Nick Markakis following. Kevin Millar, Miguel Tejada, and Melvin Mora in the middle. Melvin last night, a 3-hit night. He's 4 out of 7 since getting back from the disabled list. Jay Gibbons back in the lineup tonight, Ramon Hernandez, and then Jay Payton.
And our Rico scouting report on Felix Hernandez, only 21 years old, so very exuberance to be out there on the disabled list early, top shelf stuff. He's going to throw 97 and learn from the past, because this is really back-to-back starts. He and Guthrie hooking up again and had a 2-0 lead till he hung a slider to Jay Gibbons, who is in the lineup tonight. 3-run home run, and that really turned that game around. Bullpen gave up 5 runs, and he ends up being on the losing end for 8-3.
Roberts to center field. Suzuki towards left center. Has it measured, and he has it for the out, and 1 down. Get a look at the Centric Business Systems defense behind Felix Hernandez.
Well, pretty good outfield, of course, especially when Ibanez hits 2 home runs. Ichiro, Gold Glover, Guillen with a great arm in right field. Beltre, Betancourt for Lopez, and Sexton. And then Kenji Jojima will do the catching. He had the hanging curveball for a home run off of Guthrie. He's thrown out of just about 40% of the runners that tried to steal. So again, a pretty good defense, even though, you look at Betancourt and you go, this guy's a Gold Glove shortstop. He's got 20 errors.
Yeah. They have 32 errors on the left side of their infield, and both are very good defensive players.
And now I'm wondering, though, if Betancourt has such great range that he gets to probably more balls than some other shortstops. But against us, against the Orioles, Beltry and Betancourt look like Brooks Robinson and Mark Belanger.
Corey Patterson with a 3-game hitting streak.
That was only about, 24 Golden Gloves over there.
Well, they have 62 errors as a club. Betancourt has 20, and Beltray at third has 12. So 32 of the 62 errors on the left side of the infield. Patterson swings through it, 2-1. Corey has been on some kind of a tear since Dave Tremblay took over, and he's really heated up since the All-Star break.
Yeah, anytime you can hit over 350 in 42 games, and there's a double over the bag.
Right down the line, he may look for more, and up the ball carrying right back to Guillen, and he will go to second. He is trying for 3. Lopez with the throw, and he is safe at third base. Wow, he outran the throw.
Yeah, maybe the throw a little bit high, but Guillen knows he has the sense of urgency going down in the corner because he knows who hit it. So a very heads-up play, and it's a calculated risk with 1 out. You never want to do it for the 3rd out or the 1st out. But boy, where do you want to be? You want to be at third base with less than 2 outs. Make it a little bit easier for Markakis, who's coming up. So I mean, he doesn't even hesitate. Just a little stutter step, and then the throw. If it's not high, he's probably out. But the relay, you can see Beltry go up in the air. I tell you what, that's very close. Might have got him on the shoulder, but the first. Larry Vanover, who was behind the plate last night, calls him safe.
Vanover got himself in perfect position. He came around the bag to the other side so he could see the foot and the tag simultaneously. So Patterson hustles into a triple. That is his first triple on the year, amazingly enough. And here's Markakis. I mean, when you consider that Aubrey Huff has 4.
Well, yeah, and of course one of them was, a couple of them were caroms. But this is a tough ballpark because it's so small to hit triples. Not that you play all your games here. Jojo with a foul ball. So, Hernandez almost averaging 9 strikeouts per 9 innings. So he's looking strikeout. Markakis with a single last night. A little change up right here. And just right off right in between that knee guard on the right, the shin guard, and then the little pad that covers your knee.
1-1 on Markakis, runner at third, 1 down. And a base hit to left field, and the Orioles get on the board. Markakis going the other way to deliver Patterson. It's a 2-1 game.
And that's really Corey Patterson's base hit and RBI. I know Nick has to walk up there, but it puts so much pressure with a runner at third with less than 2 outs. And I think everybody in the Oriole bench knows that a normal guy, that's a double. But with his speed, he turns it into a triple, and boy, does it make a difference. You're not scoring a lot of runs. You don't hit a lot of home runs. 12th in runs scored, 12th in home runs. You need to utilize your speed. And he did.
Want to know the count.
And they don't run very much on Hernandez. Only, same with Guthrie. They've only been successful, They've run 5 times against Hernandez.
Inside ball 2. This is a good matchup for Millar's style because Hernandez comes right at you. Power pitcher. And everybody who's watched Kevin Millar knows he lives for one thing, to get up there and take a whack at the fastball.
Well, this is the counts he lives for, 2-0, and hopefully he'll get some kind of fastball to hit.
Chop foul past Juan Samuel. Lets it go by.
Yeah, the one thing that he does again, he's only 21. Hernandez is able to sink the ball. So he's got a fastball anywhere from 93 to 97 miles per hour with great sink. So he'll throw a lot of grounders. And then he's got a slider that can be anywhere from about 85 to 91. And then the third pitch is a changeup. Not too many 21-year-old kids come to the big leagues and have this kind of command. 12-14 last year, but this was a team that only won 78 games, lost 84 in 2006.
Line down the line, hooking foul. Both these pitchers are very, very good at holding base runners. We told you about Jeremy Guthrie. There have been 3 caught stealing against Guthrie, only 2 steals. There are Nick's numbers. He's 13 out of 16. But against Hernandez, there have been only 5 attempts. Seattle's caught 2, 3 have made it. So those numbers this deep in the season, that tells you the teams just don't run on them. Very good at altering his cadence. Millar fights it off to stay alive.
And then it helps to have a good throwing catcher. I always thought that, of course, Rick Dempsey, I know he's sitting in the studio. You gave Denver the ball. He's going to throw guys out. He's accurate. There you go. Gold Glove winner and over in Japan. Played there. You get 2 guys from Japan and they both win Gold Gloves. I don't know if Jojima will do it here, but Ichiro's won 6 in a row. Every year he's been at the major league level for the Mariners, he's won a Gold Glove. Jojima learned how to speak English so he could actually converse after he signed last season.
3-2 the count. Markakis runs, and it's chopped foul. Felix Hernandez, Jim mentioned, just 21 years old. And this is already his 3rd season with the Mariners. He was promoted when he was 19. Both Hernandez and Jeremy Guthrie entered pro ball the same year. They were signed in 2002. Hernandez as a non-drafted free agent out of Venezuela. Markakis chased back, and Guthrie, a first-round draft pick of the Cleveland Indians. However, their time in the minor leagues, a little different. Felix Hernandez pitched in only 58 games in the minor leagues, whereas Guthrie needed 101 to finally make it to the bigs and stay. And Millar down on strikes, throw to second base, bounces, and safe is Markakis.
Yeah, perfect pitch to run on. And the reason is Hernandez has to throw a strike 3 and 2. The catcher has to catch the ball, make sure, because if he stands up in front of the umpire, it's going to be ball 4, runners at first and second. So he holds him. And then here you can see the little crossover step, and Jojima with a pretty good throw on one hop and very close, but not close enough.
That was closer than it looked.
Yep, a good sinker right there. Millar swings through it after fouling off a number of pitches. But see, he just barely got that right leg in there. So tying run with 2 outs at second.
Tejada takes low, 1-0.
Yeah, so many different, the difference between sometimes the 2-2 count and the 3-2 count. Guys can run, stay out of the double play. Of course, with Markakis, the ability to steal a base. As you mentioned, that's his 14th steal, only been caught 3 times.
Tejada looks it over, 2-0.
And then all of a sudden, 21-year-old pitcher thinking, you know what? I got 2 in the top of the first. They've already got 1. And if this guy gets a hit, it's going to be tied. If he goes out of here, I'll be down. I mean, this is the kind of pressure you like to put on a young pitcher. I don't care how good his stuff is.
Bounce towards the middle. Betancourt has it in the glove. Markakis picks it up and stays at third. That's an infield hit, but he prevents the Orioles, at least for the moment, from tying it.
Yeah, well, that's what you're taught. If you're an infielder, knock it down. If you can catch it, great. But if you can't, even if you knock it down, keep it in front of you. Try to keep the ball from going to the outfield. And Betancourt, very good range, and can't make the play, so it will be the infield base hit. But there's a difference between a run and a first and third situation. Yeah, great angle right here. Markakis is going as hard as he can until Juan Samuel stops him. And you can see Juan down the line just to get a good angle to see whether the shortstop caught the ball or not. That's the difficulty sometimes. Of course, Tejada was up, but when Millar, who really pulls the ball, you're trying to get that angle, and you're what, about maybe 75 feet from home plate, and here's Millar hooking him as Rafael Chavez comes out to talk to him, the pitching coach for the Mariners.
Well, Felix Hernandez already has 47 major league decisions at the age of 21. He is 23-24 in his career, looking for a win tonight to get even. Jeremy Guthrie tonight is pitching in his 41st major league game. So despite their age difference, 21, Guthrie's 28, Hernandez with a lot more major league experience. And here's Melvin Mora taking a strike.
Well, you talked about coming up in 2005. He pitched at AAA, was 9-4. But the one thing I remember from that year, and pitched 88 innings at AAA, 84 in the big leagues. They were not going to let him pitch more than 190 innings because he was so young at 19. As it turned out, he pitched right around 170 innings that year.
Ground ball towards the middle. Back of the bag. Flip to second by Lopez. Gets the force on Tejada. Nicely done. And Seattle gets out of it with the lead intact. So the Orioles get 3 hits, settle for a run. We'll head to the second. Patterson got it going. 2-1 game at Camden Yards. ...101 degrees at first pitch tonight. Record set downtown today with the temperature. And a 2-1 game as we go to the second. And once again, as we saw last night, the conditions favorable to the hitters.
Well,
last night in the game, Seattle 10 runs on 19 hits. The Orioles 3 runs on 15 hits.
And 3-2 going into the 7th inning. And then all of a sudden, shockwave came through Camden Yards.
Check swing by Richie Sexson, won him on the count.
He even got on the bandwagon with a couple of hits. One of them looked like it was going to be a home run. Hit a line drive that just missed going out. There's a high slider, that home run swing.
Jeremy Guthrie, 2-3 here at Oriole Park. He is 5-0 in his road starts. One of those quirks of a season. Of course, it's who you pitch against. Here's another base hit for Sexton up the middle, so he'll get his average back to 200. He was 199 coming in, and a leadoff single. Well, before the game, very nice ceremony on the field. Brian Roberts was awarded with the Heart and Hustle Award by the Major League Baseball Players Alumni Association. Dave Johnson, now an Orioles broadcaster, represented the Major League Baseball alumni. Now, this is a very prestigious award because it is voted on by former major leaguers and given to a current player on each team demonstrating a passion for the game that best embodies the values, the spirit, and the traditions of the game. And then out of each team's winner, an overall winner will be selected by the Major League Baseball Players Alumni Association in November. So congratulations to Brian, and those of us that follow Brian day in and day out, you realize just how much he loves the game and how important he is to a Major League Baseball team and to the Baltimore Orioles.
Well, he, of course, a big article today about the Orioles outreach program, and of course it's kind of a new organization, but it's not new in a sense because for years they've always said if you're going to be part of this community, you want to and live here, you want to be part of it and do things both on the field and off the field. And I think Dave Tremblay, who manages the Orioles now,
caught by Moore at third, one down, a soft line drive.
Yeah, Dave is saying that Brian does so many things. And a lot of times up early in the morning. And of course, when you play every day in the big leagues, it can be very tiring for a little guy. And you're going to see right here, just off the trademark. So it doesn't hit it particularly well. Mel been able to get it. So again, I mean, here's a guy, the guy that you want on your ball club because off the field, just as good. And of course, we just had a guy that went in the Hall of Fame that did that. Think about all the things that Cal Ripken Jr. did. The literacy, all the things that just went on.
Jose Lopez to right center field. Marquez can't get there. It falls in for a hit. So 2 hits in the inning, and Seattle has first and second and 1 down.
Well, 19 hits yesterday, and it looks like they're hitting with a vengeance again tonight. A little breaking ball that just stayed up enough, and it just gives the hitter a little more leverage. Down and away. It's such a difficult pitch to hit. You usually pop that ball up and away. You can sometimes just loop it in between the outfielders.
Yuniesky Betancourt, number 9 batter, comes in 8 for his last 21.
He's the only guy that didn't join the party last night for the Mariners. 0 for 4.
High fly ball to center field. Corey Patterson back on it. Sexton will tag at second base. He'll go to third, and Patterson fires back into second base. So 2 men down, but that means Suzuki comes up with men on. And he has been a hitting machine against the Orioles. Sexton at third with Lopez holding at first, and 2 men down.
Yeah, and then the next guy is 4 for 4 off you, so it doesn't leave you a whole lot of options. If you look at last night's game, I mean, Vito only 1 hit, but he walked twice, so they're on base 6 times. That's a good way to score runs when you get your table setters on. So if you pitch around Ichiro, you got a guy that's 4 for 4 lifetime against you.
High fastball, 1-0.
And it doesn't make it any easier with the runner on first. Puts that first base hole open. Ooh, good pitch right there.
Toyota League leaders Ichiro Suzuki now with 160 base hits, and 134 of those, Jim, are singles. As he looks to put the ball in play, get on base. He has 26 extra base hits, 134 singles.
Well, you mentioned it last night. All the infielders have to play in because they put such pressure. High hopper can be a base hit. So you play a step or 2 in. It's almost like with 2 outs, you're playing in double play position, which usually means you come in a step or 2 because obviously with a double play, runners at first and third, say there was only 1 out, you'd want to get to the ball, turn the double play.
Takes it high, ball 3. Well, before the game, we mentioned his consecutive 200 hit seasons, now at 6. And the Orioles in their franchise, going back to 1954, have had only 6 seasons of 200 hit seasons. So 6 in their franchise, and he has 6 in a row himself, and he takes a strike. And the Orioles have not even had a hitter do it in back-to-back years.
Well, that's
Miguel almost did, but he had 199 hits. There's what we're talking about. Those are the 6 200 hit seasons. In 2005, Tejada had 199 hits, or he would have had 3 in a row, but that's how difficult it is to do that off the end of the bat. I mean, and here's a guy who by himself has 6 in a row. Phenomenal.
And he's won 6 Gold Gloves, and in the opening talked about he could be the first Japanese player to ever get inducted in the Hall of Fame because you have to dominate your era. 110 to 120 runs scored every year. Can steal bases with the best of them. Complete player.
Hopes it foul. Look out.
Last night John Parrish actually came in to get him with the bases loaded. He hit a ground ball that John made a nice play on. John said the ball got back to him a lot quicker because of the topspin. I said, well, how about the home run? He said, well, I threw one up and in, then I threw him a low and away slider. I guess I got him angry. He hit it down the right field line for a home run. So he can hit home runs, just doesn't do it very often.
3-2 Lopez will be on the move from first. Sexton not forced from third. Rounded towards first. A foul ball down the line. Just foul.
So the ball away, he flicks foul. The ball in, he's quick enough to pull. And, Rick Dempsey in the opener talked about, as you look, Millar saying, oh, please be foul. And it was about 6 inches foul. And he's pointing there. But Rick Dempsey talked about the magic wand. And it's for guys like this, the Pete Roses of the world, the Wade Boggses, it's about getting the good part of the bat. Terry Crowley was certainly not in this category, but a great pinch hitter, not getting a lot of at-bats because they could get the bat head to the ball, and they did it on a regular basis. Away, you come in, what's he do? Just gets the bat head to the ball. Short swing. So away, he extends inside, short front arm, and that's why he's such a good hitter.
Already 37 pitches on this very hot night. And another 3-2 pitch to Suzuki. Line to left field. It hangs up for Payton, and he grabs it for the out. That ball sailed, but Payton stayed with it. Guthrie gets out of it. A couple of hits and 2 left. Middle of the second. 1-run game. Well, we invite you to stop by the Verizon Wireless store on York Road in Timonium tomorrow to meet Orioles reliever Bob Bell and former Orioles great Boog Powell. Rob will be on hand noon to 1, Boog there 1 to 2, signing autographs, meeting fans, and talking baseball. So spend some time tomorrow at the Verizon store in Timonium with Rob Bell and Boog Powell. More information on this Orioles Reach community appearance. Call the Birds, 888-848-BIRD, or simply go online at Orioles.com and click on Community. Jay Gibbons leading off in the second towards left center field, and it falls in for a base hit. So Gibbons is on with a leadoff single.
Well, we talked about learning from the past as one of the Rico scouting report highlights on Felix Hernandez. Last time he faced Gibbons, hung a slider after throwing a similar fastball. He was late on it. This time he's able to loop it in there. Of course, Gibbons hit a 3-run home run around the foul pole in Seattle up at Safeco Field. Again, another good result. So now Jay 5 for his last 6, 4 for 5 on Sunday.
And the Orioles get the tying run on, leading off in the second. Already 8 base hits in this game. Seattle with 2 runs on 4 hits. The Orioles 1 run on 4 hits. And here's Ramon Hernandez. Taking low, 1-0. Ramon's bat is really beginning to heat up. See his numbers, Jim, in his last 8 games, 480.
Yeah, the best numbers with runners in scoring position, closing in on 400, 391. Saw that last night, a couple of RBI singles. The only thing that you look at, and of course he's had some injuries, the oblique injury early on, then the groin injury, is the home runs down. But then again, it's down for just about everybody on this ball club. You know, Gibbons at first base, you would have projected if he stayed healthy, which he has, probably 25 to 35. And Jay comes in with a 6. You know, Miguel with 9. Of course, he missed a month. A couple of spells on the disabled list for Ramon. He had 23 last year.
Double play ball to short. Betancourt to Lopez 1. Back to first. There's 2.
Well, there's your 2-seam fastball. And what happens is, especially when it's thrown at 95 miles per hour, it goes down or moves in a little bit, especially to the righties from the right-handed pitcher, and he just hits the perfect double play ball. All you got to do is catch it at shortstop. And it's going to be 2.
Well, Hernandez gets the ground ball to erase the base runner, 2 down. And Jay Payton comes up with the bases empty. Jay just 3 for his last 23. Takes it low.
Well, I think the important thing, and you know, Jay Gibbons a little bit of throwing arm shoulder problems, is that I think Dave Tremblay would like Jay Gibbons to maybe work a little bit harder on being a left fielder, because he could rest Peyton. He hadn't been able to do it.
Beltre charges in, and with that strong arms gets Peyton easily at first. So a base hit, none left. Felix Hernandez and the Mariners have a 1-run lead. To one game, Freddie Bynum on the Orioles bench. We'll hear from Freddie later on Wired Wednesdays, but right now we're happy to have with us the manager of the Baltimore Orioles, Dave Tremblay, who joins us from the Orioles dugout. And Dave, a hot night last night, a hot night tonight, and I know it's a hitter's kind of a night because Jim Palmer wants to grab a bat, get in uniform, and run the home plate.
Yeah, there seems to be a vacuum going out there to the alleys. I hope it can happen when we're up, and we get a couple guys on.
Yeah, nothing like the 3-run home run, is there?
Well, we could definitely use one of those to see if we could get ahead, because with that club over there, if you're not ahead, you're facing an uphill battle if it gets late in the game. With their bullpen is very good.
Let me ask you a question about Jeremy Guthrie. If you look at his maybe last 5 or 6 starts, I mean he's been outstanding, but the walks are up a little bit. So, here he is where the team hadn't scored a lot of runs and so on and so on. Are you maybe a little concerned about the inning count as it goes along into late August, early September?
I agree with you there, and I'm concerned about the pitch count. And I think he's a prime example, along with Bedard, who have a lot of innings. I'm not so concerned about Cabrera because he's got a big stature about him. But this is Guthrie's first time around, first time in the big leagues. He hasn't been in these waters before, so we got to watch him closely going down here the last month and a half.
When the bullpen struggles, and I know last night Traxel really battled him, left with the lead. Does it make it that much more difficult when you had a couple of games in Boston, you had the game last night? I know that you're a confident guy. I know that you trust these guys, but we've seen it in the past. It's sometimes you can't pull rabbits out of the hat. And does it make your job that much more difficult?
I think what you do, Jim, sometimes you're going to go against the book. You throw the matchups out the window, and you may put another guy in there earlier in the game than you may want to, because you basically just try to change it up a little bit because it doesn't work for you. For a couple of 3 times in a row, you got to do something to change it up. I don't think you can keep doing the same thing.
You mentioned last night that every move was a baseball move, and Seattle happened to get the hits. And I think the thing that was the most frustrating aspect of that is all 8 of those runs against the bullpen were scored after 2 men out in the inning. So the relievers were that close to getting out of all 3 of those innings. Instead, it was Seattle getting the big hit.
Well, it's like they say, you got to get the third out. And we didn't get it done last night. And with this club, you got to stay away from the big inning, because, like any club, but this club especially, because if you give them a lead going into the late innings, you're looking at an uphill battle. But I got a lot of confidence in those guys out there. They've done a tremendous job. Most of them have been in situations that they haven't been in before. We've had guys that are situational pitchers, and everybody knows who they are. 1-inning guys. They've closed game for us. Guys have come back to back. Walker has been just outstanding for us. Ibanez hasn't hit a home run all year against a left-handed pitcher. So, everybody's entitled for one, and sometimes you got to tip your hat to the other guys. They're trying too.
Well, we'll let you go manage. Don't forget that 3-run home run sign that you have. I know somewhere.
Yeah, I'm gonna sit right next to Crow right now and have him work on it.
Order up a 3 spot. Skipper, thank you.
Thanks a lot.
That's Dave Tremblay, the manager of the Baltimore Orioles. Nice enough to join us here on Wired Wednesdays. And you saw Vidro, after falling behind, no balls and 2 strikes, got the count full and rips a single into right field. So he's 2 for 2, and he's on with none down for Guillen.
Yeah, 5 for 5 now against Jeremy Guthrie. And really what he does is he's not your prototypical, typical DH, because he only has 4 home runs. But hitting 300 or more from both sides of the plate, lifetime 300 hitter.
High chopper towards third. Morrow will have to hurry to get 1 out, and just got it there in time.
Yeah, what Melvin did, which is what you have to do, you can't hurry it, let the ball come down. If it doesn't come down in time, make sure you catch it and make a good throw. And that's exactly what he does. Because if you hurry it, you're not going to get anybody. I mean, this is the old Earl Weaver theory. You can't rush plays that you can't rush, and this is one of them. Perfect throw, and again, about a half a step.
Yeah, Millar with that great footwork.
Maybe if you were 6'8", it would get him down a little bit quicker, but just a half a step, and he got him with a good throw.
So on the Baltimore chop, Vidro to second, and here's Adrian Beltre takes outside. Beltre struck out his first at bat.
Well, what the Mariners do, and again, they don't hit a lot of home runs. I mean, they're 10th in the league in home runs and 7th in runs, and the Orioles are 12th. But what they do is hit well with runners in scoring position. They're hitting about 13 points higher than the Orioles at 286, and we saw that last night. Orioles went 3 for 15, runners in scoring position. Their actual batting average dropped 3 points last night, from 276 all the way down to 273. This team seems to be able to get them in. And of course, Jeremy Guthrie's trying to keep that from happening.
Gets ahead of Adrian Beltre, a ball and 2 strikes. John McLaren, the manager of Seattle, on the bench. Ball hit towards third. Mora backs up to get the hop. High throw, but Millar kept his foot down. 2 down.
Yeah, nice play by Kevin. And Melvin lets him know it. A little jam shot. So, again, a lot of times I think even if you're pitching or you're playing third base, you don't know. You can see him going in. Now he's going to catch it. So that little crow hop, but just drops his arm a little bit. And, of course, out here working yesterday early on, Orioles taking infield. But last night a couple of plays weren't made, and it had to do something to do with the 7-8 runs that were scored by the Mariners. Certainly not totally playing the defense, but if you want to pitch better, you need to have guys make plays behind you.
Ibanez takes a strike. Ibanez bounced out his first at bat. Vidro at second base with 2 down. In this series, second game, Hernandez going out to the mound. The Mariners in 9 at-bats last night were retired 3 up, 3 down just once. And 3 at-bats tonight, they've had a base hit in every inning. So they are really swinging the bats well. We thought maybe they might be hurt a bit by the hot, humid conditions here because they don't have this kind of humidity in Seattle, but it's been the opposite. There's last night's winner on the bench, Jeff Weaver.
Took them 6 innings to get acclimated last night, and then they turned it on. And this guy certainly helped him. I mean, last year, 33 home runs. That's a career high. Most he had ever hit was 24 before, 123 RBIs. But the one thing he's been able to do this year is drive in runners, over 300 runners in scoring position, and that's one of the reasons that their team average is as high as it is. Now, up in Seattle, the last time they met, he struck out the first time. They intentionally walked him, and then he bounced into a double play. And a ground ball to shortstop. But good hitters count right here, and of course you got the guy on deck that with one swing can put a big dent in what you're trying to do.
Ooh. 3-1 pitch gets away, and it hits Ibanez, so he'll head down to first base.
Yeah, just a high breaking ball, trying to once again stay out of the middle of the plate, and that's going to bring Richie Sexton to the plate.
And it's going to bring Leo Mazzoni to the mound.
See, watch Ibanez cover the outside plate, and it's a ball just up and in. Hits him in the right there, the back shoulder. That's what you want to try to do, turn in it. Still hurts.
Well, Leo Mazzoni talking it over with Guthrie. Ramon Hernandez listening in. 2 outs in the inning. So all you have to do is retire the hitter and you're out of the jam.
And it's probably about fastball command. The Vidro home run on a breaking ball. You know, a lot of the fastballs tonight, a little bit more of the plate than he'd like. But again, when you get a little bit tired, Jim, it's harder to command that fastball where you want to. It's not always about velocity. You know, I think a lot of times they might still throw 93 if that's what you throw, but if you're trying to overthrow, the ball straightens out a little bit. Almost every hitter I've talked to said the thing that amazes them about Guthrie is the late movement on his fastball.
Down and away, 1-0.
So there's 94, but it's ball 1.
Sexton's had a tough year overall. Base hit his first at bat tonight. Good breaking ball.
A really good one. But the one thing, if you're Richie Sexton and your typical year is 36 to 39 home runs and you're in a pennant race, I mean, you've had an off year, but you can still make a huge difference. And John McLaren said that's why he's got to play, because he's an impact player.
Hard hit ball to third. Moore is there. He'll get it across the first, and off the glove of Millar. Coming to the plate is Vidro, and he scores. Another throwing error allows the Mariners to get a run.
Well, really just nothing on the throw. I mean, he did everything right, set his feet, but arm strength. But, I mean, that's a routine play, and, you know, you can see the look on Melvin's face. Obviously very frustrated right here. Looks down, but he doesn't put anything on it. And it just doesn't get there. It just kind of floats and sinks. So, you know, saw him throw yesterday. I was, because he does this quite a bit, where maybe not a lot on the throw, but in the infield practice yesterday, real good arm strength. Not on that throw, though. So there's your extra out, extra run, and an opportunity for Jojima to add to the total.
Well, the runners at first and second now. Ibanez at second, Sexton at first. High fly ball, right center field. Markakis moving over, and he has it for the out. So Guthrie prevents any further damage, unearned run, and Seattle now with a 3-1 lead. Orioles Baseball on Masson is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. With more flights to more places than ever before, Southwest is taking low fares farther. visit southwest.com. By Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% on car insurance. Visit us at geico.com or call 1-800-947-AUTO. And by Care First Blue Cross Blue Shield. Well, the Oriole bird high atop the scoreboard in right center field.
It's sweating. The bird is perspiring.
Blowing in the breeze to cool off a little bit. Here's Brian Roberts taking his strike. So Seattle with an unearned run once again has a 2-run lead.
Yeah, that's the one thing about today. There was a little bit of a breeze. Probably not as much down on field level. Maybe the humidity a little bit less than yesterday, but the temperature, what, about 10 degrees warmer? 105 we heard?
105 we heard was the official temperature downtown.
Like a radio station, 105.
105.7.
Yeah, it's
Orioles
cooling
Radio
off
Network.
now.
Yeah, it's only what?
92, right? Let's see, maybe 90.
No, 94.
94. It's like getting into Sky Harbor Airport at 10 o'clock at night.
Where's that?
Phoenix.
Oh, Phoenix.
110, 112.
And Roberts down on strikes.
Yeah, a little backup slider. Didn't mean to do it, but it worked out well. Yeah, Brian trying to cover the ball, expects it to break down, and it just kind of spins away from him.
Well, one away in the third. It brings up Corey Patterson, who in the first inning got the Orioles going with a triple.
Yeah, the Mariners get 2 on the home run by Ichiro, and this is just a double down the line, but he's going to hustle it into a triple. And he forces them to really make the play and execute, and they couldn't do it. Lopez's throw on the cutoff from Guillen to Lopez to Beltry a little bit high. And of course, we saw him do it last night, stole third base, barely.
Sharply pulled foul behind Sammy Mejias. Corey has 24 multi-hit games on the year, and 13 of those have come since the All-Star break. 13 in 23 games since the break.
Good cutter right there. Well, I look at him, and I still remember when Johnny Oates took over as the ball club. Of course, Brady Anderson had been traded to the Orioles from the Red Sox, and said, "Brady, you're my best athlete. I'm putting you in left field. Going to be a big ballpark. Just go out there, play every day. We'll play against righties, play against lefties." And that's really what's happened since Dave Tremblay's taken over. And certainly not to place any blame that Sammy Palazzo should have played him every day because he wasn't producing. But I think from a player standpoint, when you're in there every day, you don't feel like you have to get 2 or 3 hits, but he has.
Towards second base, right there is Jose Lopez, and he'll get Corey Patterson for the out and 2 men down. Well, don't miss your chance to try the all-you-can-eat left field club. You get a left field club seat with access to the exclusive club level, plus an all-you-can-eat pass for unlimited hot dogs, nachos, popcorn, peanuts, ice cream, soda, and more, all for just $35 in advance and $40 on game days. The tickets through the rest of 2007 are going fast, so pick up the phone, 888-848-BIRD, or go online, Orioles.com. We had a visit before the game. One of our former police officers who's now on a new assignment. He's here tonight with a group of about 40 law enforcement officials, and they are in the all-you-can-eat section because they said it's the best deal to come to the ball game because you get your ticket, you get all the food you want, and you don't have to worry. You know it's a fixed cost.
I have put on 8 pounds just having you read that promo over the last month or so.
You love those hot dogs. And there's a base hit to left field from Markakis, going the opposite way for a second hit.
Well, that's why he's going to end up close to 300, because you pitch him away, he doesn't really try to do more than he's capable of doing. I mean, that's the 95-mile-per-hour fastball in a hitter's count, and he just goes with it. I mean, look where the ball is, look where the glove is. Pretty good pitch, except he's looking fastball, gets it, and for the second time up, pings it in the left field. Well, maybe he pinged that a little bit more than he actually lined. He pinged the first one in there.
That was certainly not a doink.
No. Big difference between a ping and a doink. Dempsey used to doink him.
Hey, they all count. Box score, it says 2 for 4, whether they're doinks or not.
The one night we were in Chicago once, and Randy Kuntz is playing center field for the White Sox, and a beach ball falls down, and Demper's in his, right field mode, everything to right or everything to left. And he's actually giving the beach ball back, and the pitcher doesn't realize he's out of position. Demper hits a screamer up the gap in left center. Kuntz turns around and almost hits him in the chest. And Demper goes, "How can he play me there?" Nobody told him that the pitcher didn't even know that he was handing the beach ball. He just turned around and he would have gotten hurt. Oh. But Demper hit the ball hard. Not that many doinks. He did doink one in last time I won 20th, and I think the 12th inning. He doinked it down the right field line for an extra. Had to win my last 8 starts, and one of his doinks was the reason.
I hope you take him to dinner. You helped you win your 20th game.
Actually, the season was over, but
well, you owe him.
We used
all
to
these
go.
years
Of
later,
course,
you
I
owe
know.
Mr. Dempsey dinner.
I do.
1-1 on Millar with a runner at first and 2 down. Toward left center field, Ibanez on the run, and he can't get it. It's in there for a base hit. Markakis is being sent by Juan Samuel. Here's the throw to the plate. He is saved as the throw gets beyond Jojima, and going to third is Millar. Orioles are back within a run. Millar comes through with 2 down.
That ball had that distinctive sound with no doink. Tell you what, you can hear it. If you're on the mound, you better start backing up some base. Fastball right down the middle, and he just Nikes it into left center field. Ibanez, actually, a better route to the ball, probably would have caught it. And here comes Markakis right there. Juan Samuel says, "You know what? We're going to make you execute again," and they don't. Betancourt's throw just a little bit high, and Hernandez does not back up home plate. So that will be an error because Millar gets all the way to third base.
And a base hit for Tejada to tie the game. Well, the Orioles with a 2-out rally getting even. And a special RBI for Miguel Tejada, career ribby number 1,000. And Terry Crowley wants to get that baseball as a souvenir. And Felix Hernandez gets it to Joe Jamel, gives it to home plate umpire Tony Randazzo, who flips it to Ernie Tyler, who will give it to the Crow. Milestone ribby ties the game. So 3 straight hits after 2 men down. Fastball by Mora.
Yeah, 98. That was a mad fastball. And here's again, second base hit up the middle. One's an infield, and I believe that Miguel knew it was the 1,000th RBI, or maybe he was just happy that he tied the game up. Probably both. And that fastball at 98, that is by far the hardest ball he has thrown.
And there's the souvenir. Terry Crowley will make sure he keeps that safe. There's a proud hitting coach right now. Of course, in the first inning, Miguel singled up the middle, but Betancourt with a diving stop cost him an RBI. As Markakis, who was on base, second base, had to stop at third, so that one got through for an RBI. So 3 hits in the inning. And the Orioles have battled back to get the game even at 3-3. Right field, Jose Guillen over, has it for the out. But the Orioles take advantage of 3 2-out base hits. Tejada with a milestone RBI. Brand new game through 3. We're tied 3-3. perishable food item or cash donation to help support the 21st annual Orioles Reach food drive. Volunteers, including the Orioles wives, Orioles advocates, Von Paris movers, Masson and WJZ personalities, will be at the gates. They'll collect the donations, all to help the Maryland Food Bank. And for more information, online at Orioles.com or 888-848-BIRD. And visiting with us as we play now in the top of the fourth in a 3-3 game, Laura Giuliani, the very lovely wife of Mr. Jay Gibbons, who is a base hit tonight. And I know you're very much a big part of this movement, bringing in the food for the food bank. And what's impressive, Jim and I were talking about it last night, every year you seem to top the year before. It's incredible.
Exactly. And this year, we're, of course, hoping to do even better. And I think we will. We have a great promotion going this year, which we haven't done in the past. And that is if for every 5 cans or $5 people donate, they're going to get a free autographed postcard from one of the current Orioles.
Kind of a potpourri. You can't choose who you want.
Exactly. We don't know which player is going to be at which gate.
You like reach into a hat or something or a bin and you just pull one out?
I'm not sure how we're going to have it set up, but
I don't want to put you under pressure.
Right.
Right.
Well, if they come to your gate, let's say, if you're out there helping, might you slip a J autograph in there?
If I'm lucky enough to get his, maybe I'll be able to give you one.
Well, tell us some of the items that you're looking for the fans to bring out. And again, it really is the fans that make this work, and they do such great work in supporting the Orioles. It's a very important community event.
It is. We went and visited the food bank yesterday, and it's just an incredible facility, probably the size of about 3 different Costco's put together. What they're looking for this year is what they do in the past, which is vegetables, canned fruits, vegetables, dried cereal, pasta, and then as well as personal care items like shampoo, baby diapers.
Betancourt fouls it back.
And, of course, they always welcome money because I think there's a certain number. I mean, every dollar.
Yeah, certainly money for them does go a lot further than us bringing in food. For instance, if we pay 80 cents a dollar for a can of food at the store, $1 for the food bank buys them almost 3 pounds of food that they're able to turn around and give to people who need it.
Ball and 2 strikes on Betancourt after the strikeout of Lopez, visiting with Laura Giuliani. Just missing outside, 2-2. And the other part of this, the Maryland Food Bank, a tremendous organization, and they do work year-round. And I think that's important. Jim and I reminded the folks about that last night. It's not just at the holidays that people need help.
Right. Last year, I think the food drive was in April.
And there's a bloop, and Jim, that's a doink. As Junieski Betancourt doinks it in for a 1-out single.
Kind of what Jay did the first time up, but we
Right.
like those, don't we?
Exactly. Yeah, Jay and all his
You got to
singles.
mix. Yeah, you got to hit those home runs, and then you move them back, and then you doink it in front of them.
Hey, any hit's great. If it gets a man on base and they end up scoring, it's perfect.
You sound like a hitting instructor.
Yeah.
And the box score, it's a line drive.
It really is.
Absolutely.
Nobody knows. We know, but.
And here's a guy that hit some line drives, Ichiro Suzuki. Comes up with a man on again. Guthrie got him out in the second inning with 2 on and 2 down after he singled and scored in the first. Of course, the Red Sox will be in town this weekend, and always big crowds for Boston, so it's an opportune time. And you'll be at every gate as usual, so when the fans come in, your presence will be there?
Yeah, we'll be at each of the gates beginning 2 hours before game time, which is when the gates open for people to come in, and we'll be there through about the 3rd inning.
Now, will this be all 3 days?
It is. It's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and then just remember that the game on Saturday was changed. The time was changed
Right, it's
to
a national
3:55.
television game, right?
Yep, we're going to be on there, and just encouraging the Red Sox fans too to be supportive, and they always have been in the past, which we really appreciate.
Now, does Jim qualify as a Masson personality? Can he come out on Sunday and help you at the
I
gate?
can't come Sunday.
Friday
We're
night?
off on Saturday. You're a Masson personnel. You tried to get me to be lifting. He doesn't want me to just stand there and take the food. He wants me to carry it to the truck.
To the warehouse.
To the warehouse.
So it was a 2-part question. I think he does qualify as a
Thank
Masson
you.
personality.
Well, you are a lawyer,
but-
aren't you? You speak in threes,
Right.
I mean, don't they teach you that way? Because Edward Bennett Williams, who, used to own the team, when they had Earl Weaver Day, Earl, we love you. The Orioles love you. Everybody loves you.
Oh, gotcha. Yep.
So is that how you make your points?
Yep.
3-1 on Suzuki.
So I'm
with
available
Betancourt at
Saturday.
first.
Okay.
Well, I'm not.
I have the sign-up list here if you want to help out.
Runner goes, swinging a bouncer and a base hit in the right field. Suzuki has his second hit, and that'll send Betancourt to third.
Well, what Rick Dempsey talked about, the magic wand, 3-1 pitch, looks for a fastball and just gets the bat head to it. Nobody plays over there when you're holding a runner.
So runners on the corners with one down, and his nemesis coming to the plate, Jose Vidro.
So now Jay gets 4 hits. I saw you had to come down and sign autographs in Tampa Bay, and of course I saw you Saturday night, next day. Is there like Ichiro must eat something special. Do you have like the 4-hit breakfast or something that
Pancakes.
You know, I usually do, and last season I did. We weren't doing it this season. We started again, and he's feeling like himself again. So I think it has everything to do with his 3 pancake, 3 eggs, and 3 pieces of bacon breakfast.
Wait a minute. You're not cooking. You're going to...
No, IHOP, no.
that sounded, either a Denny's or an IHOP or whatever.
Didn't somebody else have success with pancakes?
Yes. I did, but then I had Brooks over there and Belanger and Gritch and J.V. Johnson and Boog and 9 Gold Gloves in center field with Blair and Earl Weaver, of course, figuring out every little thing in the dugout. It's easy to eat pancakes and have that kind of success.
Right. I wish that my breakfast had something to do with how many hits he got, but I don't give myself that much credit.
There's a strike after the visit from Mazzoni.
So now a couple of years now you've been in town, 2 or 3 years,
2,
right?
Yep, yeah. This is my 2nd year full-time in Baltimore.
So now do you see different people when they come? I mean, are you getting friendly with some of the people that bring the food? Because I know that you did it last year and they had, 9,000 pounds?
Yeah, no, the fans are great, and all the wives this year have been super involved, and they've been really supportive of us and everything that we've done. Last year we raised close to $29,000 in cash donations.
High fly ball to right field. Markakis on the run, has it for the out. Betancourt will tag and score. Seattle gets back on top. So Vidro does it again. He has a 3 RBI night. Sac fly and a ribby gets Seattle the lead.
Well, such a veteran hitter, and they get him because big ballpark. You made a good point. If you're going to build a ballpark and pitchers had anything to do with it, it'd be like Safeco, beautiful area of town, but a little bit bigger to hit in, and you don't get a guy that's just going to hit home runs. You get a guy that can hit for a high average, and smart hitting right there. Look for something and hit in the air. Was able to do it. Not always easy to do against Jeremy Guthrie.
There's Jose Guillen. High fly ball left center field and tag. Long run for Payton, and that's gone. It gets out of here for a 2-run home run, and Seattle all of a sudden with a 6-3 lead. So another home run ball. 2 on the night allowed by Guthrie.
And both on breaking balls. It's not that you don't want to throw it. It's just that if a hitter like Ian, who's probably a right field hitter, if you throw him a slider, very much like Hernandez did to your husband, Jay Gibbons, up in Seattle. What's the slider on your Chevy drive of the day? It just ends up in the middle of the plate. And, this is the big leagues. Unfortunately, hitters hit that ball very hard, and Jeremy pays the price. Ball is flying tonight. Might have something to do with 101 temperature at game time. And he's going, boy, and been flying like this all year.
Rob Bell now will get up in the Oriole bullpen as Jose Guillen hits his 2-run home run. That's his 14th on the year. And Beltre fouls it back. So before we let you go, I want to commend the work that the Orioles wives do as a group, because the players spend so much time at the ballpark, road trips. I know quite often you get to go on the road with Jay, but there's a lot of time away, and it's really nice to see a group, because you're all in the same boat.
Right.
Your husbands are all players, that you decide to make something positive out of, get involved in the community, and really try to help out some people that need it. And I just think the work that you do is fabulous.
Thank you so much. And, we really enjoy doing it, and hopefully we'll be doing it, again next year together, all of us.
21st annual Orioles Reach Food Drive, all 3 days this weekend for the first 3 innings. And when you come in the gates, please bring the non-perishable items so they can be stored. The Hall of Famer will help you carry them to the truck. And, of course, we'll still encourage cash donation. He's good at that. See, that's what you need. Have Jim at the gate.
I'm good at carrying.
Right.
No.
Oh, I thought he was talking about cash donations.
Encourage the cash donations.
Oh, yeah.
That's the job for you. We'll get somebody else to carry the food.
Well,
come on now, let's go.
Can we get
fill up the kitty?
Can we get Tom Davis in that purple coat or something like that, and the fake Rolexes coming out, and be like a Barker? Bring him in. We're only saying that because you'd let Tom come down.
Sure. Hey, we can use all the help.
He qualifies as a mass impersonality.
Oh, does he ever?
Yeah. So 1-2 on Beltre as Guthrie trying to get out of it. Pop back up this way.
I don't know about pop-ups coming in from a different angle. That ball went right over our head.
So it's a 3-run inning, and Seattle with a 6-3 lead here in the 4th inning. They have had hits in every inning, and they have scored in each except the 2nd. And on this hot night, Guthrie trying to get out of it. 2-2.
Of course, every time we have a wife up here, we kind of have to talk. Now, I know Jay does the athlete's performance and all that. Or have you found yourself, being married to a guy that kind of works out just about every day of the winter, that you found yourself feeling like you have to go to the gym too?
Well, I've always been that way, and that was a big thing between.
Yeah, we'll be there to help, and we appreciate the visit.
I appreciate it. See you guys this weekend.
Bottom of the 4th coming up. The Birds down by 3. We invite you to join us again tomorrow for more O's action. Finale of the series, Daniel Cabrera against Horacio Ramirez. Coverage on Masson begins at 6:30. Tom Davis, Rick Dempsey, O's Extra, presented by Chrysler Jeep Dodge, followed by game coverage at 7. We've got all the access you need right here on Masson. And here is Jay Gibbons leading off in the 4th. And a bouncer towards first base. That's a fair ball. Easy play for Sexton. And a quick out in the 4th inning. So Jay now 1 out of 2. After a single his first at bat. Well, a lot of time left in this game, and the way the baseball is flying, there's already 15 hits in this game. But the difference last night and again tonight is the home run ball. Seattle tonight, 2 home runs on 2 swings. They have 4 runs. Orioles have not hit a home run in this series.
And once again, and you talked about last night, 7 of the last 8 runs with 2 outs. That home run came with 2 outs. Of course, Betancourt, he really set it up. Hit a really good slider. Guillen hit a bad slider for a home run, but Betancourt looped it into center field, got Ichiro to the plate, and then Vidro did what he usually does, has a solid at bat for the sacrifice fly, but the slider in the middle of the plate, that was that second home run. And 2 pitches, 4 runs. That's what the home run ball does.
Ball and a strike on Ramon Hernandez. Chopper past the mound. Betancourt charges and flips to first to get Hernandez and 2 men down.
Yeah, he makes that play look so routine. And of course, you do have a guy at home plate. Ramon Hernandez doesn't run well, but he comes in and on the gallop. You're playing deep because you don't have to play shallow because he doesn't run well. And just on the run and snap throw right on the money. Hard to believe that this kid's made 20 errors. Only 25 years old.
Here's Jay Payton, 2 outs, nobody on, and there's a strike.
And then you give your 21-year-old starter a little breathing room.
He was given a 2-0 lead before he took the mound. Orioles got one back in the bottom of the first. Seattle then added a run in the third, but he allowed the Orioles to tie it in the bottom of the third. But the Mariners come right back in the fourth with a 3-run inning.
Well, Dave Tremblay alluded to the fact that the Mariners bullpen 23-7. Well, at least last night, the ERA was a little bit over 3.5 runs a game. So 363, and they're what, the fifth or sixth best bullpen in the league. Of course, Boston has the best ERA, and that's 2.82.
Well, Payton battling here, trying to get on and keep the inning going. Chopper foul. Orioles have lost 5 of their last 8, 7 below 500. Still have a winning record under Dave Tremblay and a winning record since the All-Star break.
Well, at the end of the day, though, you get Mora back, you get Tejada back, but you still have to pitch. Starting pitching's been very good. The Orioles came in second best earned run average of all the starting teams. Oakland under 500 with an ERA of 3.77, but they don't score a lot of runs. You know, the Orioles, they're 6 games over as far as their starting staff, as Jojima hit a couple of times tonight. Well, again, a lot of two-seamers, so you're going to foul balls off because it's sinking. And it's just running in, and boy, that might have got him in the left toe. So he's getting hit in the left toe, the right knee. And you think it's easy to catch?
There's only so much armor you can put on. 2-2 on Payton.
I think I'd be telling the home plate umpire, I said, Tony Randazzo, you catch, I'm going to stand behind you.
He's still in pain.
And then, of course, you got to grab a bat when it's your turn to hit and swing and run.
Chopper to short. Betancourt plays the hop. And Hernandez has a 3-up, 3-down inning. So after his team got in the lead, Hernandez retires him in order. Well, we head to the fifth. Seattle with a 6-3 lead, wired Wednesdays, and we're happy to have with us from the bench Freddie Bynum, who was getting close to rejoining the team on a rehab assignment in the minor leagues. And Freddie, you got hurt again being aggressive. You got to be careful.
You know, I was just trying to test my hamstring out. You know, I had to see what it felt like stealing the base. You know, I didn't expect for the guy to step on my hand.
Yeah, I know in Chicago when you had the hamstring tear, you're finally getting hot. You know, a couple of hits on that 4th of July weekend and all that's got to be pretty frustrating.
Yeah, it is, you know, but hey, it's baseball, so, you know, all I can do is just wait to get better and come out, you know, ready to play.
Had you ever had any hamstring problems before?
Yes, I had hamstring problems when I was in AAA with Oakland, you know, but none since then.
Rob Bell on, first batter to face him is Ibanez, and Ibanez hits it into the Oriole bullpen. Another home run for Seattle, third in the series, for Ibanez on the first pitch he sees.
Yeah, 84-mile-per-hour changeup, and it just stays up. So Ibanez, the hanging slider for a home run, fastball for a home run, now a changeup, and so he is now homer to left, to right, and center. 31 games without a home run, and you can see that ball right down the middle. Ramon reaches for it, but doesn't get it. Tumbles right to the bat head.
So now it is 7-3. 3 home runs on the night for Seattle, and Ibanez has hit 3 in the series. So, Freddie, what is the timetable now? When might you be able to get back into a game?
Well, actually, I think they're going to send me out on a one-game rehab assignment sometime here. I think at the end of this, close to the end of this homestand, and then I should be able to go on the road with these guys.
Melvin Mora with a quick throw to first. So you might be able to get back at it next week then?
Yes.
Now, Freddie, we saw you play a little bit of outfield, a little bit of shortstop. Where are you most comfortable?
Right now, at my point in my career, I don't even have a set position that I'm more comfortable at right now. I just love playing, and, any position is fine with me.
Now, we understand that when you went down to begin your rehab assignment in the minors, each game you did play a different position. Is that right?
Yes.
And that's all designed to get you ready just in case wherever they need you.
That's right, just in case I have to go play some outfield or infield, whatever the need is.
There's a tapper to short, and out at first is Jojima, 2 men down.
Well, have you ever caught?
Actually, I did catch one time when I was younger. My father was my coach, but I took one foul ball in the knee, and I told my dad, hey, I don't think I want to be a catcher anymore.
Because you could play every position. I think, didn't Bert Campaneris do that years ago? He went around, he caught, pitched.
Yeah.
All in one game.
You could be the emergency guy. What do you say?
Hey, I do it. If it keeps me here in the big leagues, I would do it.
Yeah, we had a guy, Tommy Chopay, who, in the last game, he caught the last game of the year, went 15 innings.
Wow.
Took them all off season to get well.
I bet.
And then, of course, Lenny Sakata was a second baseman. He caught, we ran out of catchers. The first pitch he ever called was a home run over the left center field fence, and then he hit a game winner.
Wow.
That was back the year the Orioles won the World Series. So something to be said about being a catcher.
Hey, if they want me to go back there, I get back there and block a few balls.
How's that throwing arm?
Oh, it's great. I'm trying to throw as much as I can. It's kind of hard catching the ball right now, but I'm just trying to keep my arm conditioned so, I won't have any problems with that when I come back.
Now, we understand you had a big event in your life. You have a new baby girl, is it?
Yes, that's right. Alicia Lynette.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
I suppose you're doing the 3 a.m. feedings?
No, not right now. She's back home with her mother. They won't come up to probably the end of the season. So, she's handling all that right now. I'm going to just pick her up when she get up some age.
All right, Freddie. Well, we appreciate the visit. Get well, get healthy, and get back.
Thanks for having me.
All right, that's Freddie Bynum. Seattle adds a run on the Ibanez home run. 7-3 game, the Mariners in front.
Take a look at our Chrysler Jeep Dodge starting pitching comparison. Hernandez better than Guthrie tonight. The couple of home runs, Vidro's home run, and then the Guillen home run. Both of them on breaking balls, ended up in pretty much the middle of the plate. So Hernandez has kept the ball in the ballpark. Jeremy unable to do it.
Brian Roberts leads off in the 5th and hits it to left field. Ibanez trying to cut it off. Gets to it. Roberts hustling to second base with a double.
But you get the feeling, as we look at our Chrysler Jeep Dodge starting pitching comparison, this game not over. Ball flying. They've already hit 3 home runs. On Wired Wednesday, we take a look right here. Just a fastball away. Brian goes with it. How many times have we seen this over the last 3-4 years? And Ibanez, you can see, just trying to put the brakes on, but it's a double right off the bat. Play in front of you. Yeah.
And Brian hustles in with his 31st double on the year. So the Orioles down by 4, need base runners. 200th career double for Brian Roberts.
Well, how they can play Corey Patterson back on the grass, both at first, especially at second base with Lopez after he bunted last night. I mean, you got to take the bunt away because when you're 4 run down, if you're Corey Patterson, you're trying to get on base. Now they take the bunt away at third, but he doesn't usually bunt to third. But if he bunts it by Hernandez.
Grounded towards the hole, diving stop by Sexton, and Hernandez gets to first to get Patterson 1 down. Roberts moves up to third.
Well, he doesn't bunt, but he gets the runner over. And on this type of night, even though they have a good bullpen, that's what you're trying to do. Get as many runs as you can. Especially for Markakis, who comes up. He's 2 for 2. So, again, it'll go as an out. But you can see everybody congratulate him, and that's what you want to do. I mean, it's early enough in the game, 5th inning. You still have to play small ball. And really what you hope happens is that maybe Hernandez will walk. Markakis trying to go for the strikeout.
Ground ball towards the middle. Betancourt back of the bag has it. Shortstop throws. He gets Markakis, but Roberts scores. So it's an RBI ground out, and the Orioles are back within 3.
Yeah, all because of Roberts' double and Corey Patterson giving himself up.
So 2 RBI night for Nick Markakis. He now has 70 on the year. As Hernandez will take that, he'll certainly take the out, but at least the Orioles get 1 back. Kevin Millar now. Striking the outside corner. Tesco fact, Orioles one of 2 American League teams to have a losing record but have outscored their opponents. Oakland is the other. Of course, the Orioles' toughest challenge this year has been in the 1-run games. They are just 9 and 22 in 1-run decisions.
So the record's still under 500, but playing closer games.
Off the end of the bat, second baseman Lopez backs up in the shallow center and puts it away for the out. So the Orioles get 1 back. We'll head to the 6th. Seattle with a 7-4 lead.
Well, take a look at our Geico game summary as the Orioles trail it by 3. Miguel Tejada, second base hit of the night. That's his 1,000th RBI of his career. 4th inning. Jose Guillen, 4 hits last night, 2-run home run. And Raleigh Ibanez last night, 31 games, out a home run, hit 2 last night. 1 off Rob Bell. First pitch he saw, changeup. You brought up a pretty good point. What was he changing up on? And that is the problem. I think really what it is that Rob Bell's probably his most consistent pitch has been his changeup, and he thought it was the right pitch. That ball, there's your fastball, and that's hit on 1 hop into the seats. So again, the velocity maybe not as good as it used to be, 88 miles per hour. And Betancourt, a couple of home runs over the weekend. This entirely different hitter this year than last year. Much more aggressive. Take a look right here, the great side angle. You can see that ball not in enough and pretty much belt high out over the plate, and he just hooks it into the corner for a double.
We were chatting with Freddie Bynum, and I didn't have a chance to ask you that, but it's always been puzzling to me, just as an observer, that the first pitch of an inning is a changeup because you haven't thrown anything to change speeds off of it.
Yeah, well,
to me, what it looks like is a batting practice fastball.
Yeah, and of course it wasn't supposed to hang, and it was supposed to move a little bit more, and that's usually what it does. I think the classic story is when Sidney Ponson came up to the big leagues, they actually used him as a closer because they had some injuries, and he was facing Lee Stevens of the Angels, and he used to Sidney throw in the upper 90s. First pitch is an 88-mile-per-hour changeup. He hit it over Boog's Barbecue, and I think everybody was asking him, what were you changing up? Well, he thought it was his best fastball because he had never seen him. So I get the point. I just think Rob Bell feels more comfortable with that particular pitch. He's a veteran. Sidney at 21 was a rookie. But again, if it doesn't move, you don't get in a good location, it is a BP fastball. And Ibanez, to his credit, 3 home runs in the last 2 nights. They've out-homered the Orioles now 5-0.
And Suzuki bunting. Bell will have to hurry, and he'll never get him. Wisely holds on to the baseball. So Suzuki there was bunting to move the runner along, and he ends up with a single. So he has 3 hits.
Well, take a look. We were kind of talking. The Orioles have not had a winning record, so let's go back to 1997 when they went wire to wire. Well, average innings by starters, pretty close. Bullpen record, there's your big difference. 2007 to 1997 ERA, about 1.75 runs a game, and then again the batting average is much higher. So this is some of the things, and if you look at the top relief numbers, those are by the winning teams.
High fly ball to right off the bat of Vidro. This will score a run. Betancourt will tag, and he'll come in, and Jose Vidro keeping his big night going. He now has 4 RBIs, and once again the Mariners go up by 4.
Well, the table setters for him, it was Ichiro early on. He singled, and then he had a breaking ball for a home run. Next time he came up, he led it off with a single. And he got another sacrifice, and this is what we were talking about. Red Sox, most wins in the American League. The Twins, the Mariners, the winning team. Yankees winning team, Indians winning team, Angels winning team. So you better, in this league, be able to compete when your starters are, the Orioles are a little bit under 6 innings per start this year. So a lot of pressure in the bullpen.
Seattle has now scored in 5 of its 6 at-bats in this game. Sharply at the third, Mora has it. The second one, Roberts back to first. There's a double play. That ends the inning. Seattle adds a run. They've scored twice off Rob Bell, middle of the 6th. 8-4 Mariners.
We'll take a look at our Nissan in-game box score, and of course the Orioles, they keep coming up with runs, but again the Mariners with 8 of them. So productive night by Markakis. Tejada with his 1000th RBI of his career. Gibbons the single. Hernandez big night last night. Nothing going. Corey Patterson with a double, or actually a triple, turned it into a triple. And Brian Roberts 1 for 3. So, but you better get the long ball attack out. Been out homered in the first 2 games, at least through 5 innings, or at least 5 1/3 innings, I guess, by 5-0.
Miguel Tejada, the milestone RBI in his last at bat, number 1,000 in his career. Line drive, and there's a base hit right center field. He has a 3-hit night. So the Orioles, yet again, trying to chip back in, get the leadoff man on in the 6th. Well, the next Orioles fireworks night comes up Friday, August 24th, when the Orioles host the Minnesota Twins. All fans attending the game at 7:05 can stay around afterwards and enjoy a dazzling fireworks display, all presented by AAA. You can end your summer with a bang here at Oriole Park. So get your tickets now, 888-848-BIRD, online, Orioles.com. And see that Minnesota team Jim was talking about. They are, as usual, in the second half, beginning a surge to get back in the race in the Central.
Yeah, just still hanging around. 6 back in the loss columns. But, of course, last year, they put on such a run, they actually surpassed the Tigers, ended up winning the American League Central.
Melvin Mora hitless on the night. Hernandez misses 2-0.
Well, hot night, 101 degrees, game time. Nobody up in the bullpen. I think when you trail by 4, that's what you want to do. John McLaren, he's got a 21-year-old right-hander on the mound. You want to make him, as the manager of the Mariners, think about getting somebody up. That's the first step.
3-0. What the Orioles need here is a crooked number inning.
Well, yeah, what they need a little help. No free passes yet. Felix Hernandez, again, rare, doesn't walk a whole lot of guys.
Called on the outside corner, 3-1.
And the luxury of having a 4-run lead is right here. You can throw a ball a little bit more for the middle of the plate, because the chances are, the way his ball runs, it's not going to end up in the middle of the plate. So you can be aggressive. Make Melvin Mora put a good swing on it. And he chased ball 4. But that's what happens when you're 3-1 and you're 4 runs down. You take that pitch, it's 1st and 2nd. And you don't have a whole lot of time at 95 miles per hour to make that decision, but the Red Sox, if that was Youkilis, he'd be down at first base. And of course, that's why their on-base percentage is about 20 points higher than the Orioles for the season. A little more selective.
Bounce to short. Betancourt to second one. Back to first, high, but Sexton comes down in the bag. And there's a double play. So the second time tonight, after a leadoff single, that Hernandez has been able to come back and get the double play ball. And he came back to get more after falling behind 3-0.
And again, this is why this kid's going to be special. 4-run lead. Melvin swings at the 3-1 pitch, helps him out, and then just a routine ground ball. And they get it to Lopez quickly enough that he's able to hit his target. And of course, Sexton is 6'8" over there.
And a broken back ground ball to short. There's Betancourt. And just like that, the inning ends. So Hernandez is through 6, and Seattle with a 4-run lead. Orioles Baseball on Masson is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. With more flights to more places than ever before, Southwest is taking low fares farther. Visit southwest.com. And by PNC Bank. PNC leading the way. Back here at the ballpark, we'll head to the 7th on that double play ball. Melvin Mora hit into the double play. Tejada hustling at second base, trying to break up the double play, and it looked like Jose Lopez may have stepped on Miguel's hand. And Richie Bancells looked him over very quickly. Still in the game. Of course, the left hand not his throwing hand, but doesn't mean it doesn't hurt.
So that's the one that he fractured, and that's why he wears the kind of the protective splint, especially when he's running the bases, because a lot of guys, that's why they wear the batting gloves. They put them in their hands so they won't catch those fingers.
Right field, slicing away from Markakis. It's over his head, and it bangs against the scoreboard. Nick runs down the carom and fires back in, and safe at second base. There's Adrian Beltre.
What great deke by Tejada. He just kind of relaxed, and Markakis played and it was a long carom off the wall. I mean, a minute off the bat, you know it's going to be off the wall, so Nick caught it and in stride made a perfect throw, and Miguel's just going to kind of fake. So there's the beginning of the play. So watch this right here. Boom. And then, former pitcher. Watch this little tag. I don't know if he grazed his back or not, but he doesn't get the call.
The leadoff double. Beltre, his first hit. Seattle in this game has had the leadoff man on in 6 of their 7 at-bats. Ibanez pops it up. Tejada calls off Payton. Payton calls off Tejada, has it for the out.
Well, you'd like to think that maybe that'll have something to do with the outcome of this game, because Ibanez, after hitting 3 home runs the last 2 nights, unable to get Beltre over. And there's your fastball from Rob Bell. Change up for a home run, threw him a fastball, he popped it up.
Richie Sexton now with a man at second and 1 down. And he pops it up. Out behind second base, Patterson charging in. And he has it for the out, and 2 men down. Going to look at the Nissan in-game box score as Seattle bats here in the 7th, now with 2 men down and a runner at second base, and the Mariners leading it 8-4.
Well, 10 runs and 19 hits last night, and Ichiro with 3 hits last night. Vidro, that's another good night. Guillen went 4 hits last night, 2-run home run tonight. Beltre, couple hits last night. Ibanez, 2 home runs last night. So all down through the lineup. But even Betancourt with a double and a single, and he was an important part of that 3-run 4th inning. Hit a low and away slider into center field.
Jojima fouls it off, 0-1. We'd like to apologize for some of the technical problems that we've experienced here tonight. The crew is working very hard to correct the problems, and hopefully we'll have all those ironed out before too long. We appreciate your patience as you watch the game tonight. Jojima is hitless on the night. He is the only hitter in the lineup that does not have a base hit. Ground ball towards short. Tejada charges, and he'll get it to first base. So Rob Bell gets out of it as a leadoff double. But Seattle cannot score. 7th inning stretch at Oriole Park, and the Mariners with an 8-4 lead. Play Megabucks Jackpot, the new scratch-off game from the Maryland Lottery, with 37 chances to win and a top prize of $1 million. It is mega-tastic. The Maryland Lottery, let yourself play. Brought to you by Jack Daniel's Old Number 7. We wait until each barrel is just the right age. You should too. Drink responsibly. Well, the fans have had their 7th inning stretch at Oriole Park at Camden Yards. Birds coming up in the 7th and trying to chip into this 4-run deficit. Felix Hernandez has had in this game just one 3-up, 3-down inning. However, 2 other times he's allowed a leadoff hit and then got a double play ball by the next batter.
Yeah, hadn't walked anybody yet. A couple of strikeouts. I'll tell you what, it's kind of interesting. You know, you play 162 games, and last night a frustrating game for the Orioles because they had a 3-2 lead and end up losing 10-2. But we're going to play a little guessing game here. I'm going to read you a paragraph.
All right.
A line drive over so-and-so's head. So-and-so throwing a rainbow to home plate. So-and-so walking a leadoff man after handed the lead, as we look at George Sherrill. So-and-so stumbling over his own feet and botching a double play ball for the 2nd straight night. So-and-so missing a cutoff man while a run scored. So-and-so bobbling a ball, losing a chance for a force at second. So-and-so undone by 2 balls, one that barely made it to the mound, the other trickle in front of the plate. So-and-so, the third base coach, sending a guy home 3 runs down, getting him thrown out at the plate. And so-and-so playing soccer in center and kicking away the club record errorless streak. Now, that all happened in one game. What team do you think it was? Gives you an idea of what baseball is about. The Boston Red Sox with 68 wins, the best record in baseball. That all happened last night in Anaheim. That's one paragraph to kind of tell you how frustrating this game can be. And, of course, they lose 10-4. And they've won 68 games.
Yep.
It just happens, and you try to move on. And of course, as they lost, the Yankees creep within 5 in the loss column. Because they're losing tonight. Toronto beating the Yankees. If my eyes serve me correct.
Your eyes are correct. 9-2.
9-2.
There's a bouncer towards the middle. There's Betancourt.
Yeah, 3rd time that Ramon has hit a ground ball to Betancourt at shortstop. So there you go. 5 in the loss column. 14.5 game lead for the Red Sox. Kind of reminds you, of course, it's early. 1978. The Red Sox had all kinds of injuries. A 1-game playoff. So I became a broadcaster. They told me, watch the game. Reggie Jackson wins. He was playing for the Yankees. You'll go to Kansas City, work with Howard Cosell and Q Jackson. If the Yankees lose, Reggie will be the broadcaster.
Sharply hit. Diving stop by Beltre. And he gets Payton. 2 men down.
Well, you know, again, we talk about the fact that Hernandez hadn't walked anybody. Did go 3-1 on Melvin Moore, helped him out swinging at ball 4. But if you play behind, even if he's 21, a guy that throws a lot of strikes. Now, playing off the line, great angle right here. So this play a little bit more routine because you got yourself a 4-run lead. Don't have to protect the line. Great quickness. Tell you what, I still don't. I mean, he's made 12 errors. You talked about that. 20 from the shortstop. Where? How? I mean, looks like a Gold Glover every time he plays the Orioles. And did you see Barry Bonds' home run?
Yes, I did. I turned on Masson as soon as I got home. They were playing the Nationals.
Yeah, Mike Basic, 3-2 fastball. He'd already doubled and singled. Of course, a pretty good quote from Basic in the Washington Post today. He said, well, you either got to be a special player or a part of a special moment. And he said, I was certainly that. And of course, the Nats have been playing very well, won 7 out of 8.
Yeah, as soon as I got home, I turned it on, enjoyed listening to Bob Carpenter and Don Sutton. And then I watched all of the post game. All of the interviews, enjoyed Basic's interview. And
yeah, very classy little film clip by Hank Aaron.
I thought it was interesting when he talked about his dad who faced Hank Aaron after Aaron had hit 755 home runs. And Aaron didn't homer off his dad, also Mike Bassick. And now they're both tied to the 2 home run champs, one the former, now the current. Roberts towards left center field, and that'll fall for a base hit. So Brian has a 2-hit game. He's on with a 2-out single.
Yeah, they keep playing him one step to pull, and he kees hitting balls, a 97-mile-per-hour heater. Of course, Hernandez better down in the strike zone, and it looks like on a very hot night that 2-out base hit may get the bullpen up, and they have a good one.
George Sherrill was getting loose.
You got the matchup with Patterson, a lefty, coming up. Sherrill very, very good against left-handed pitchers, so Hernandez, nice job on a very warm night. I know he didn't want to give up 4 runs, but when you get 8, doesn't seem quite as bad, does it?
Well, George Sherrill will come on. It's an 8-4 game, and McLaren wants to nip this in the bud. Pitching change at the ballpark in the 7th. Well, fans, please join us here on Saturday, August 25th, as B.J. Surhoff will be inducted into the Orioles Hall of Fame, former number 17 for the Birds. Prior to the game at 7:05 against the Twins, B.J. will be honored in a special ceremony. On Friday, August 24th, you can join the Oriole Advocates for a special luncheon honoring Surhoff, as well as former Orioles broadcaster Bill O'Donnell. For tickets and more information, 888-848-BIRD or online Orioles.com.
Yeah, it's a class guy. We talk about BJ, and if you're John McLaren, this is a type of lefty. Look at that earned run average. Came in last night, though, and gave up a couple of broken bat base hits. So there you are, 20 hits and only 33 innings, 7 walks. So a lot of strikes and, dominating against left-handers.
Corey Patterson takes high, 1-0. Toyota League leaders. And here are the bunt hit leaders in the American League. And Corey Patterson finally caught the catcher, Gerald Laird of Texas, with 9 bunts. He and Corey now even. Gerald Laird, a smart ball player. They play him deep all the time, and he's a good bunter, so he takes advantage of it.
Yeah, but of course the question is, why would you ever play him deep if you know he can bunt? And the reason you bunt is because they can play you deep, and they bring you in and you hit the ball by him. Now, Corey, 36 hitter against left-handed pitching this year.
Pops up the curveball, shallow right, out as the second baseman Lopez. And he has it for the out. So Sherrill comes on, gets the final out. 2 out, single, a man left. We'll head to the 8th. Hernandez and the Mariners have the lead. Well, it's time for you to text in your vote for the AT&T Player of the Game. Tonight's candidates: Jose Vidro with his 4 RBIs, Miguel Tejada with career RBI number 1,000, or Felix Hernandez, 6 2/3 innings, did allow 4 runs, but the pitcher of record on the winning side. You can text in your vote now and have your voice heard. Text in A, B, or C to Oriole 674-653.
Back-to-back nights for Paul Shuey. Again, led it off with a base hit last night, a ball that Tejada caught. Couldn't get up very quickly and made a low throw that got by Millar. They scored it a hit. Struck out Beltry, but Ian got to second base on a wild pitch, and that's when they brought Jamie Walker in, and he hung a slider to Raul Ibanez, and that 3-2 lead evaporated. So it's been a little bit of a struggle. Very good Saturday against Tampa Bay. Retired all 5 batters.
Which stays inside. Well, Seattle in this game has had a base hit in every inning, and they have put the leadoff man on in 6 of their 7 at-bats. And the inning they didn't, they scored 3 runs. There's a fly ball to right, Markakis there, 1 down.
Yeah, they missed her. Boy, didn't I suggest they put that right between the dugout and the batting cage? About 4:30 to 5 o'clock when we could mist ourselves.
I heard you wanted it up here.
No, well, that wouldn't hurt.
Yeah, right in the booth.
Like they have in Arizona when you walk down the sidewalks. They have those little misters. We'd have to wear our bathing caps, of course. You have one of those, don't you?
No.
No?
Fly ball to center field.
We could get you one.
You have a bathing cap?
No, but we could get one. Yeah, every time you go to a hotel, you see they have little bathing caps there. Well, you don't steal the conditioner and the shampoo? Okay. I don't either, but I just thought that maybe you do too.
Oh, wait a minute. You mean the shower cap?
The shower, yeah, bathing cap.
No,
shower cap, yeah.
I thought you meant like those big white things that
you
put on when you go to the pool.
When you're swimming your laps?
Yeah, like I do that often.
But you live out.
I have a pool 15 feet from my back door, and I'm never in it.
Really? You have a pool in your house?
Oh, yeah.
Really? You didn't tell me that.
I've invited you several times, and you've always had a better offer.
I don't know about a better offer. But, of course, I'd have to, to get there, you live way out in the country, right?
Falston. It's not that far.
No, yeah. You and Fred Manfred, you have your mansions out there.
There's a strike. 2-1 on Ichiro Suzuki.
Well, former radio guys, you both have huge, you have people that take care of your places and all together. And I just want to have people. You have people.
No, I don't have people. That's the problem. You keep promising to throw some people.
Get some people. I did. I have a friend down there. He was a lawyer and lives down in Key Biscayne. And he would. He had a boat. I said, gee, isn't that a lot of trouble? No, I have people. I go.
I'll be right over.
You have to take care of the dock. Oh, got people to take care of that.
Suzuki fouls it off. Well, I'll tell you what. You come up, we'll do some laps.
Laps? It's that big?
Well, it's big enough.
Yeah.
You can get from one end to
once
the
had
other.
A pool, 12 by 24 with a swim jet. Didn't have enough room. Yeah.
I don't know how.
Had like an 8-mile current. Like you swim into.
There's a tapper past them out. Tejada will have to hurry, and he gets Suzuki.
A nice hitting by Paul Shuey.
3 up, 3 down. Go the Mariners in the 8th. Bottom of the 8th coming up. The Birds down by 4. Well, please stay with us following the game. O's Extra Post Game presented by ChevyFirst.com. Tom Davis, Rick Dempsey working hard. They'll have all the highlights. They'll break down all the action from tonight's game. Of course, you'll hear from the skipper, Dave Tremblay, player interviews as well, and maybe even some expert analysis from my partner, Jim Palmer. That comes your way following the game. O's Extra Post Game presented by ChevyFirst.com. So please stay with us. Orioles down by 4.
Yep, and you got the lefty-lefty, Markakis against Sherrill.
Breaking ball for a strike, going 1. Nick's had a good night, couple of hits, 2 RBIs. Pokes it the other way, a long run for Ibanez. Charging, can't get there, but it bounces foul. That was some effort by Ibanez.
Yeah. But the only way you can catch that ball, rubberized warning track here at Camden Yards, go into the little slide. I'm not sure it's good for the skin. That's what happens when you hit 3 home runs in 2 nights. When you go 31 games, boy, you're feeling pretty good out there. Good slider, and he just kind of going to be a foul ball. But tremendous effort. And watch him on. They don't like this because watch, he starts to slide, then he gets kind of stopped. It's kind of a skidding landing. I'll tell you what, I don't know. I'm a cinder type of warning track guy. And if there is a flaw at this ballpark, of course that's a personal opinion. I would kind of like this the cinder. And most infielders, outfielders will tell you the same thing. You know, maybe it's a drainage thing or whatever. I don't know, but.
0-2 on Markakis. And he got him. Down on strikes goes Nick, 1 away.
Yeah, the ability to get ahead and then make a good hitter, and that's what Nick Markakis is, expand the strike zone. So he just goes up the ladder. You can see the high target. I tell you, it's so important. This is what Rick Dempsey did so well. I mean, he's obviously a great throwing catcher, but he used to use that glove with a little red cut out where you kind of day glow red or whatever you want to call it. And how you present the target to your pitcher, such an important part of pitching. You know, are you moving all over the place? Or you're nice and still? I still remember, who was the guy, O'Brien, used to catch great.
Charlie O'Brien.
Charlie O'Brien. He's one of the first guys that had that hockey mask. He just put the glove on the outside corner, and that's where the ball would end. Of course, Greg Maddux was pitching with 4 or 5 Cy Young awards and 300 wins now. And then Gedman used to do that for Clemens when he struck out 20. The glove would be on the corner and the ball would hit it.
Millar fouls it off.
And then you present it to the umpire. I know Rick Dempsey always makes the thing, you know, if you drag your wrist or whatever, it's just a kind of, not your arm, just move the glove a little bit. There's Brandon Morrow, right out of University of California. Got over a couple of $1 million to sign, hard throwing righty.
Millar double drove in a run in the 3rd inning. Good eye, 2-2. Time called at the plate by home plate umpire Tony Randazzo. State police helicopter heading over to shock trauma overhead, and we paused for a moment. Breaking balls low, 3-2. So from 0-2 to 3-2. Millar trying to get on with 1 down. And he does. Works the walk after falling behind 0-2. And there's the first walk in the game.
Yeah, I think John McLaren going an extra hitter because of the scoreboard, 8-4, and probably regrets it a little bit now because, you know, it's not that Morrow had any kind of history with Millar to any extent. But just figured 4-run lead, I can take a chance. Got a veteran guy out there. Of course, he's lights out against lefties, and now you're going to bring in the rookie to face Tejada, who's having a terrific night.
Well, Morrow coming on, runner on, 1 down, 8-4 Seattle in the 8th. Well, Brandon Morrow comes on. Jim mentioned he's a rookie. He just turned 23 years old, and when you are the least experienced member of a major league bullpen, your job is to provide snacks for your colleagues in the bullpen. And just so the veterans make sure that you stand out, what do? You get yourself a nice pink, probably junior high school kind of a backpack.
Yeah, and then you can take your bathing cap and put it in there. So
don't have one.
No, I'm not saying you.
Is that Cinderella?
But he's got a real good arm. We saw him up in Seattle, and he's been very good. Well, there are the numbers. Only George Sherrill with more holes on this team. He's got 13 of them. So the one thing that jumps out, of course, is the 40 walks in 45 2/3 innings, and the Orioles need a couple of free passes.
Tejada fouls it back.
Think about that. That walk by Sherrill to get Morrow in the game was the first Oriole walk all night long. And they will take it down by 4 runs.
Tejada 3 for 3 on the night. What the Orioles need is a long ball. The difference in this game, the 3 Seattle home runs. 3 swings drove in 5 of their 8 runs. Got a fastball by him at Tejada down on strikes and 2 away.
Yeah, 95 with a lot of late movement. That is part of the game. It's not always about velocity. But then again, he comes in, he throws 3 pitches, all for strikes. Once again, Jojima, high target. And they used to call that stair step him right up the ladder.
It's amazing how quickly he rose to become an effective reliever, because he was drafted last year, 5th overall pick in the first round, and he pitched a total of just 8 games in the minor leagues in A-ball.
And of course, they used him last year as a starter, but now in the bullpen. So, again, they just feel it could accelerate him through the minor leagues. And
he went to spring training as a non-roster player, and he was so good he made the club.
Well, yeah, and of course they had some injuries. Arthur Rhodes out with elbow problems, whatever. You can see the splitter grip, and got over $2 million. He listed in Baseball America as their 3rd best prospect. He is a diabetic, a little bit like Jason Johnson. So he's got the insulin pump, but they said that last year he was reaching 99 miles per hour. So again, a very good arm in Toronto. Roy Halladay against Wong for the Yankees. Halladay looks like he's going to win his 13th game.
And there's a chopper that gets into left field for a base hit.
Well, Jim, we always talk about, you talked about Gerald Laird, now Corey Patterson tied in bunt base hits, but because Melvin Mora can bunt, Beltry playing in a couple of steps. See, he's just a step behind the bag. If he couldn't bunt, he'd be back 3 or 4 steps. He probably would have cut this ball off, would have had the force at second base, but because your ability to drop one down, it brings the defense in and you hit it by him.
When Morrow signed last year as the number 5 overall pick, he got just about $2.5 million. And after he began pitching, he had some forearm tightness. So the Mariners very cautious with that big investment. And he rested the offseason with the spring training so they could give him a look. They thought he would begin the year as a starter in Double-A. But instead, with that power arm, he made the club as a reliever.
Well, we've talked many times about bringing up some of your young pitchers and put them in the bullpen and getting their innings. And you brought a good point as Jay Gibbons will step in. Orioles, again, this perfect guy to crunch one.
1-0 on Gibbons.
But you bring up a young pitcher and you hope he gets enough innings to have some kind of routine to throw strikes. Of course, you never really had a benchmark because he didn't get enough innings in the minor leagues. I mean, that's the role that I had when I was 19 here at the big leagues.
2-0.
Okay, there's your splitter. And he misses with it. Well, there are people behind him in the bullpen.
Trying to hit it out there, swings through it.
But again, it's ball 4, and there is their closer. He closed in the All-Star game, made the All-Star team. He's 30 out of 32 in the save department. When we saw him last month, he was 29 out of 29. So 96 with nice late life. Can't teach that. What you can teach is a good windup to be able to throw it over. But again, movement on the fastball with velocity. Tough to beat.
2-2, 2 on, 2 down. Good eye, ball 3.
Let's go back to the series up in Seattle. Jay Gibbons with a 3-run home run to turn a game around that Felix Hernandez started. Threw the fastball by him, caught up with a slider, hit it inside the foul pole. Need that kind of hit right here.
Runners will go 3-2 with 2 down. And he walked him. Oh, what a good at-bat by Gibbons. Very patient. That brings the tying run to the plate.
Yeah, I would imagine it's also going to bring the closer into the game. The tying run at the plate, as you mentioned, so all of a sudden the rookie leaves. Again, we talked to you about the 40 walks, and that usually plays a big role. 41 walks now and just a little bit over 40 innings.
So Brandon Morrow leaves. Orioles have the bases loaded, 2 down by 4. Well, fans, you can join Orioles Reach and All-Star second baseman Brian Roberts in helping kids at the University of Maryland Hospital for Children by attending this year's Brian's Baseball Bash. Comes your way Sunday, August 26th at 6 p.m. right at the ESPN Zone in Baltimore's Inner Harbor. You can join Brian and some of his Orioles teammates as they help raise money for the hospital at what is sure to be a sold-out event. So get your tickets early, 410-328-6064. There's Brian, hoping to get an at-bat in this inning.
J.J. Putz, he comes on, all-star this year. There are the numbers, 32 out of 34, 36 last year. And of course, he comes in, and grandfather, uncle, and his brother, fireman, and that's what he is, trying to put the fire out right here with the bases loaded. And he can throw very hard, and of course, he came up in their minor league system as a starter, and then a couple of years ago, Brian Price was now with Arizona. As you look at the bases loaded of Orioles, just said, you know what, we're going to be a setup guy, and all of a sudden, a little different mentality. Eddie Guardado taught him the splitter, adjusted it last year, and he had 36 saves.
2-0.
So here you are. Fastball pitcher. He does have a slider and a splitter. 4-run lead. Make sure he throws it over. And it's hard to do because you want to put a swing on it. And again, this guy throws in the mid-90s. But a chance, whoever thought. And again, go back to Ibanez, the leadoff double a couple innings ago. Didn't get the runner over. They didn't add a run off of Rob Bell. So a chance right here with one swing to tie it up.
Ramon swings through it, 2-1.
Well, that's the good news because it wasn't a very good pitch to hit. Cutter on the outside corner. I don't think he tried to cut it, but hard to do much with that pitch. Awfully good 2-0 pitch. And you don't need a home run. You know, dump a single in there. That'll make it 8-6.
Ball 3. Orioles do have Aubrey Huff on the bench tonight. He was given a night off. He's been red hot. There's Millar at third. He got on with a 1-out walk. Morris singled with 2 down, and Gibbons at first drew a walk with 2 men down.
Yeah, and Tom Trebletorn just came out and said something to Jay Payton. Most likely, you know what matchup you're going to get. You're probably going to get a pinch hitter. Payton, as you mentioned, has been scuffling.
So 3-1 on Hernandez. Ground ball towards shortstop. Betancourt has it, and he fires to first, and Seattle gets out of it. J.J. Putz comes on, and the Orioles strand the bases loaded. Big missed opportunity. We'll head to the ninth, a 4-run game. Well, the AT&T player of the game, as decided by our viewers, is Miguel Tejada. 67% of the vote. You can text in your vote every game and vote for the AT&T player of the game. Standard text message rates apply, and it's open to all carriers. Tejada edging out Vidro and Hernandez, actually in a runaway. 67%, 22%, 11%.
A little hometown vote. Of course, Vidro and Hernandez. Says John Parrish came in last night, got Ichiro to bounce back with the bases loaded. The Orioles had a 3-2 lead at the time. Made a very nice play on the comebacker. Numbers coming down, and for him, it's really just throwing the ball over. His stuff's good enough. I think the one step he has to command of just throwing strikes and then being able to get lefties out. They hit about 40 points higher. Not a lot of home runs, but occasionally will get in trouble with a high breaking ball. So 33 walks in 45 plus innings. And we saw that with Brandon Morrow. Too many walks per inning for John. But of course, he's giving you everything he has. And sometimes probably tries a little bit too hard.
Oriole pitching has not walked a batter in this game tonight. Shuey worked a 3-up, 3-down, 8th. That's the first time tonight Seattle's gone in order. 1-0 on Vidro, batting right-handed for the first time tonight. He's had a perfect night.
Yeah, comes in hitting .321 from this side of the plate.
2-run home run, single and a run scored, and 2 sac flies. So 4 RBIs from the number 2 spot. Seattle with 3 home runs, driving in 5 of its 8 runs. Ground ball through the middle. There's a base hit. So Vidro continues his perfect night. He is 3 out of 3 and 4 RBIs. This copyrighted telecast presented by Authority, the Baltimore Orioles, and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Baltimore Orioles. So let's see, in 9 at-bats, Seattle has put the leadoff man on 7 times.
Well, those numbers don't lie, that are year in and year out. I was reading a book, I think, called Feeding the Monster. It's about the Red Sox the last maybe 4 or 5 years. And even their owner, John Henry, was saying, well, you know, first guy gets on, he scores 55% of the time. So I don't think it's that high, but it's around 50. Get the first guy out, it goes back down to 15. And I think that is, you know, you start looking at all the dynamics of numbers in baseball. You get the first guy out, they score less runs. You throw strike one, the batting averages go down demonstrably. I know Rick Peterson, when he used to be the pitching coach before he was with the Mets with Oakland, he used to say, you know, the difference between going 1-0, 2-0, and 0-1, 0-2 is something like 125 points. So that's what you try to get your pitchers to do. And of course, as hitters, you want your guys to be selective, because if, you know, it's great to single and lead off an inning, but if you can work a walk, pitch count goes up, you get to first base, same thing. And I think the good hitters understand that, and the good pitchers understand it. And then the other guys are just somewhere in between.
Sharply hit to Moore at third, who gloves. Goes to Roberts, one, and there's a double play.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, a sizzling hot shot. Again, the throwing error early on led to an unearned run, and it's almost like he had too much time to think. Well, that wasn't the case here. And you might as well get yourself a Kevlar vest on this hot shot. Second straight double play ball by Guillen. He's thinking double, and all of a sudden he's going back to the dugout. Boom. There you go. Flag it down. Over to Bryan. Turn to double play.
Well, that erases the leadoff single. Here's Adrian Beltre. Parrish gets ahead 0-1.
Of course, when you're winning, you go, nice pitch, John. You know, a bullet to your third baseman, and you just kind of laugh. You know, Mike Cuellar, who was one of the better left-handers I ever pitched against. You had McNally and Cuellar, 23, 24 wins. Throw that slow curve ball. They pounded at Brooks or Belanger, and, you know, hitting it right into the teeth of your defense. Of course, Brooksy would have black and blue marks all over his body from knocking him down. And
0-2 on Beltre. A little low.
Can you imagine winning eight or nine Gold Gloves like Belanger did and not wearing a protective cup?
No.
That's when you know you have good hands.
Yep.
I know I'm probably going bathing caps, protective cups. Part of the game.
A little low, 2-2.
Change up, just misses down and away.
Now, one thing that we've noticed in particular in this series here with Seattle is the approach that they have at the plate. They all seem to have the same game plan, and that's simply hit a line drive. And if you go up there simply looking to get on base to help your team, then other things could happen, like 3 home runs on the game tonight.
Well, you're right, but I think also when you're not hitting as many home runs, we talked about how big Safeco Field is. It's not conducive to hit home runs. So you have to have the approach right center, left center. And then when you get pitches, you know, hangers or sliders, they speed up the bat. Maybe you'll hit some home runs.
Towards the hole, Tejada has a long throw, gets it across, and safe.
Yeah, Millard tries to cheat a little bit. Probably had time to set his feet, because the minute you throw heading away from first base, you're not going to have much on it. You know, he's playing a little bit to pull, so again, another sharply hit ball. Now catch it. See, the minute you don't plant your foot, accurate throw, you can see Kevin just tried to trick the umpire calling him out, and Adrian Beltre thinking, you know what, base hit, beats it by about a quarter of a step.
A close play. Beltre gets his second base hit.
Yeah, that's the one thing that Cal Ripken Jr. could do so well. He would go to his right, and he was so big and so strong, stop, catch the ball off his right foot, come straight up and right over the top, throw people out. Because I think most people that saw Cal play said, well, you had that flip throw. Well, he did until he needed to throw overhand. And, of course, coming up through high school as a pitcher, he had the overhand fastball.
And there's a base hit right center field. Patterson trying to cut it off. He'll flip it back to Markakis, who fires back in. Beltre's being set. Here's Roberts throw to the plate. He is out at the plate. Hernandez holds on to the ball. What a play by Patterson to get that ball to Markakis, and Roberts and Hernandez did the rest. So the run cut off at the plate, keeping it a 4-run game.
Yeah, the key to this right here is Markakis hitting Roberts. Watch this throw. Right on the money. There's your relay. And there is your tag by Hernandez, who blocks the plate. You're out.
Orioles Baseball on Masson is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. With more flights to more places than ever before, Southwest is taking low fares farther. Visit southwest.com. And by Verizon Wireless, America's most reliable wireless network. Make the switch today. Bottom of the ninth. Jay Payton leads off. Foul tip, got a piece of the umpire Randazzo. And here's the play to end the inning.
Yeah, look at this little backhand toss, and Markakis looks like a baton toss, and then the perfect throw. Watch Hernandez reach out and able to tag Beltre before he gets to the outside corner, and wanted to be safe, but he wasn't.
Well, that was some teamwork there for Patterson getting to the ball, having the presence of mind, the backflip to Markakis, who throws a strike to Roberts, who throws a strike to Hernandez. There's Adam Jones in the game in left field now, replacing Raul Ibanez.
Yeah, he came into a pinch run in last night's game. Of course, he's the phenom from AAA. Yeah, again, the little things that you try to do, it probably doesn't seem to be as meaningful in an 8-4 game. Of course, if the Orioles would come up with 4 runs, it would certainly be meaningful. But again, Dave Tremblay, it started in spring training. Dave came on Sammy Palazzo's coaching staff to be able to run spring training and do the drills and things like that. And of course, they still work on it, and that's why you're able to make those throws. They work on it. They did it yesterday, and it was about 97 degrees. I know Manny Acta of the Nationals saying, you just got to get the guys to understand that you're doing it to make them better. I mean, that's what winning teams are about. So you may not hit as many home runs as you like. You may not sometimes pitch as well, but day in and day out, you can play good defense, help your pitching. And in turn, is that the low heater at 95?
One away in the Oriole ninth inning. Hey, O's fans, You can enter the LoJack Caught Stealing Sweepstakes and have your chance to win a 2008 spring training trip. Other exciting prizes. Just go online, Orioles.com/LoJack to enter to win. LoJack, the only stolen vehicle recovery system operated by the police.
And this is a save situation because Foots came in with the bases loaded, able to get Ramon Hernandez to bounce to shortstop.
Yep, he was facing the tying run. Here's Brian Roberts, who's 2 out of 4.
Foots, who went to Michigan, actually a left-hander that pitched in the big leagues for a number of years. Jeff Zahn was his pitching coach. He walked about 127 guys in 220-some innings in college. And they brought him up as a starting pitcher, and he just found out that he could be much more aggressive pitching as a setup guy, 1 or 2 innings. And then when Guadardo left, he had arm problems, and they let him go. He became the closer. And it looks like he's going to save more games this year than he did last year, and 36 is a lot of saves. I asked him about the All-Star game. He said, pretty hectic couple of days. Of course, he ended up giving up a couple of runs. American League winning, and the guy that's playing center field for him was the MVP. Ichiro with the inside the park home run, a couple of other hits. So when the American League gets the home field advantage, a couple of Mariners responsible, especially the guy in center field.
Roberts pops it foul. Beltre looking at it, but he runs out of room. 2-2 on Roberts. Well, the Orioles have 11 hits and 4 runs. Last night they had 15 hits and 3 runs.
Well, the lack of the long ball makes a big difference. Now, if you haven't hit them, and we're here, the Orioles come in, 52 and 59, so they've played 100, now this is 112th game. There's no reason to think you're going to do it all of a sudden, so that's why you can't sit back, and that's why you sometimes have to hit and run and steal bases when the right guy's gone on. We saw Markakis do that. I mean, the first 3 guys in this lineup have now 76 stolen bases between Roberts, Patterson, and Markakis. And the Orioles came in, and now they have, 97 steals on the year. So you got to run because that's what they do best.
And Roberts down on strikes, swinging through a 3-2 pitch. 2 men down in the 9th inning. Well, whenever an Orioles pitcher records a strikeout this season, CareFirst Blue Cross Blue Shield will make a $25 donation to the YMCA of Central Maryland's Y Healthy Kids program. Congratulations to CareFirst Blue Cross Blue Shield on the K's for Kids program. Oriole pitching on the night. 3 strikeouts, as you saw, and all 3 by the starter, Jeremy Guthrie. Orioles down to their final outers, Corey Patterson. Fouls it back.
Have you noticed how more comfortable J.J. Putz is without the bases loaded? Well, I mean, and that's a tough position. Not that he doesn't come in and pitch in the 8th inning, doesn't do it very often. It's like the old days. They bring in your closer with the bases loaded, nobody out. I mean, how about Willie Hernandez? He had 33 out of 34. His only blown save when the Tigers won the World Series in 1884 was when he came in with a runner in third, nobody out, sacrifice fly. And there's the splitter, straight down. So you got one going up at 96, 97, and then the splitter diving at 88. And that's why he can be so effective.
Well, and in that 8th inning, when he came in with the bases loaded, he fell behind Hernandez 2-0. And Ramon then swung through a pitch.
And then he eventually, Ramon got the count to 3-1, but grounded out. Well, Eckersley is the first guy that I remember that first Gossage started as a starter, a guy named Terry Forrester, but Eckersley said, you know what, it's a lot easier to get a guy out once than it is 3 or 4 times as a starter. And that's when Eck got traded to Oakland, and Tony La Russa said, you know what, I got 5 or 6 guys to get to you. And he was awfully good as a starting pitcher, but even better in the bullpen. And I think JJ is finding the same thing.
Trying to get Patterson to chase. He lays off. Seattle really has hit the baseball in the first 2 games in this series. 19 hits last night, 15 tonight.
Yeah, and 18 runs. You know, he's almost trying to pitch Corey Patterson like you do when you got a guy back that you know that every time you punt to him, he's going to run back a kickoff. I mean, they don't want him to put the ball on the ground. They get ahead of him, and, you know, maybe he'll throw him a splitter that'll bounce, and maybe he'll swing through it. But ground ball is sometimes very difficult to defend against Corey because of his speed.
Ball and 2 strikes. Bounce towards second base. Sexton, the first baseman, cuts in front. The flip, and out at first base is Patterson. And the ball game is over. The Mariners have taken the first 2 in this series. J.J. Putz comes on, strands the bases loaded in the 8th, a 3-up, 3-down 9th, and the Mariners win us. Join us again tomorrow night for more Orioles action. Daniel Cabrera on the mound against Horacio Ramirez. The finale of the 3-game series. Our coverage on MASN begins at 6:30 with those extra presented by Chrysler Jeep Dodge. Then game coverage on MASN at 7. And now for Jim Palmer and Amber Theo Harris, Jim Hunter saying so long from Oriole Park. Once again, our final score, Seattle 8 and the Orioles 4. Tonight's telecast, a presentation of the Mid-Atlantic Sports Network. Now Tom Davis, Rick Dempsey, O's Extra, presented by ChevyFirst.com. Take it away, Tom.